And, of course, Oklahoma, even though they have the same head coach, John Blake, they have a bunch of new coaches. They started running the wishbone middle of last year, went back to something that made them very successful in the 1970s. So they won their opener last week against North Texas at home, 37-9, and they're trying to keep the momentum going just like the Horned Frogs are. So in both cases, it's kind of a situation where these two programs are rebuilding. They both generated some momentum last week, and both of them would very much like to keep things rolling tonight.
Our television viewers will have the benefit of seeing a brand new look for TCU tonight as well. The uniforms are new, the coach is new, the atmosphere is new. It should be a great affair.
Yeah, Dennis Francione making some changes in the locker room. You'll see a little bit different look with the uniforms this evening, and he wants to make this evening special for the fans. This is the first home game in the Dennis Francione era. He said he tried it one other time with a quick uniform change when he was at Pittsburgh State in Kansas, and it worked. Maybe it'll work tonight.
All right, Bill, we're looking forward to it. Also joining us, John Denton, former place kicker here for the TCU Horned Frogs. John, if you start to take a look at this ball game from an X's and O's standpoint, we heard Bill mention the fact that Oklahoma back to the wishbone offense now. A little bit of a challenge for Gary Patterson's defense.
Well, it is. Like Bill said, it's almost back to the future for the Sooners because they're going back to their bread and butter, the thing that made Oklahoma famous in the 70s and the 80s, and that's a three-back wishbone offense. You'll see that a lot tonight, and Gary Patterson's defense, Horned Frogs, have a lot of work to do, stringing out the play and getting pursuit to the ball. That's the key. You want to keep them contained and don't let them get outside.
Not only has Oklahoma changed their offense, changed their defense as well, as they brought in Rex Ryan, the former defensive coordinator of the Cincinnati Bearcats and son of Buddy Ryan, the famous defensive coordinator of the Arizona Cardinals. Along with him comes the 4-6 package on defense.
Right. Rex has come in, and they've gone to the 46 defense, which his dad made famous at Chicago. And what they'll try to do is they'll put a guy right over the center, and most of the time, two guys, one each over the guard. What that does is keep those three interior linemen busy, and it's hard to get help, get them to pull on outside plays, and it really can choke up your inside running game. The problem the 46 defense has is it doesn't defend against the option very well, and you'll probably see Oklahoma make adjustments and spread their line out a little bit as TCU tries to get to the edges.
And we will see Patrick Bateau, the quarterback of TCU, in the option a lot here tonight. A lot to do here on this telecast of TCU versus Oklahoma. Near capacity crowd expected. We'll have the starting lineups and the opening kickoff for you. Bill Coates and John Denton back up in the booth after this timeout.
The captain's about ready for the coin toss, and Brian will go out with him, I believe, and we'll try to pick up this coin toss. Our producer-engineer is Ron Pell. Our spotter is Wayne Gossard. Great to have him back this year. And our statistician for the second year is Greg Marks. And we're anxious to get this thing underway, John, because to see if TCU can keep this thing going after a great win last Saturday at Iowa State.
Well, for both TCU and Oklahoma, they turned it up tonight a little bit, a little more formidable opponent for each team. TCU disposing of Iowa State last week, Oklahoma getting rid of North Texas with relative ease, although that game was 10-6 in the third quarter. So both teams tonight facing a little bit better opponent. Field condition looks good, and Brian's right now down ready for the coin toss.
All right, Brian. Claire Gaussman, by the way, is the referee tonight, and we'll try to pick up the coin toss with Brian Estridge. Brian?
All right, we're ready for the coin toss down here at midfield, as you mentioned, Bill. The referee is the two captains, and the four captains, I should say, for both ball clubs meet. Here's your coin toss.
Throw it in the air, and we'll call it. Okay, let it land. Let it go. She calls heads. It is heads. You've won the toss. You want to defer. Okay, let's do that.
Bill, Oklahoma has won the toss. They've deferred to the second half. The Frogs will be on offense to start the game.
All right, so that will mean Patrick Bateau, the junior from Sugar Land, will make his second start at quarterback after going 4 of 11, passing and an interception last week, but didn't make a lot of mistakes. He did have that one interception, and the Horned Frogs make their appearance on the field in their purple pants, black jerseys, purple helmets with the scripted TCU and the Spirit Frog, and the Oklahoma Sooners in white pants and jerseys, those red helmets that, well, crimson and cream are their official colors, crimson helmets with the scripted OU and the red numerals. So it's TCU and Oklahoma. Patrick Bateau did throw one interception last week, but he also had a very good game running the ball and was efficient all afternoon long. He finished with 83 yards rushing. Basil Mitchell at 186 and was the WAC's Offensive Player of the Week. He, of course, is the tailback. LaDainian Tomlinson, the sophomore from Waco, is the fullback. We expect the starting receivers to be Cedric James, a sophomore from Kennedale, and Tavares Moore, a senior from Jackson, Alabama. The tight end, Jason Ilian, a junior out of Lake Havasu City, Florida. Across the front line, the tackles, Michael Keithley and Russ Sanders, Jeff Milliken and Robert Wallace, the guards, and Shane Ladewig, the sophomore from Irving MacArthur, is the center. Across the Oklahoma defensive front, Cornelius Burton and Corey Callens, the ends, Kelly Gregg, an all-conference player in the Big 12, and Ryan Fisher, the tackles, Ante Jones, Brandon Moore, and Dale Allen at linebacker, Mike Woods and Corey Ivy, the returning starters in the secondary, along with all-conference safety Ganna Joseph at strong safety, and Terry White, an all Big 12 player, is your free safety. So again, the Horned Frogs appear to be ready to receive this kickoff, and our officials tonight, Claire Gaussman, Bob Holliday, David Hatima, Ron Underwood, Jack Hill, Jeff Lambert, and Michael Arionian is the back judge for this game tonight. We play on a natural grass field that, as we've already told you, drains very well. We'll have a nice crowd here tonight, John. A lot of Oklahoma fans, but countered by a whole lot of TCU fans who come out for the home opener, and that's great to see.
Well, that tells you a lot about regional rivalries, and TCU and Oklahoma now having played one another now 3 times in the last 6 years. These schools know one another well. They maybe not to the level of a Texas OU, but with all these major super conferences now, you get it's neat to get cozy with a team and get a little bit of a rivalry kicked up.
Horned Frogs beat the Sooners in Norman 2 years ago, 20-7 to open the season. 9th meeting, the Sooners have won 5 and the Horned Frogs have won 3. Oklahoma was here as recently as 1993, won here by a 35-3 score. But the Frogs hope to turn the tables tonight and go to 2-0 on the season. The Oklahoma kicker is Jeff Ferguson, and TCU preparing to receive the kickoff, kicking off against the wind. It'll be LaDainian Tomlinson returning the kick from the 3, 10, 15, a hold to the 20, outside to the 25-yard line, where he'll start from there. Again, the wind appears to be blowing out of the north, from north to south. This stadium is a north-south stadium, and we are looking toward the east from high atop the press box here at Amon Carter Stadium. And it's good to be home for the home opener for the Frogs. They'll start first down at their own 24-yard line, moving right to left across your radio dial here in the opening quarter. And again, the field is in excellent shape considering there has been some rain in the area. And the Horned Frogs will open. Michael Crawford will open at a receiver, with Cedric James opposite him. In the I formation, the Horned Frogs set up with Ilian as the tight end, looking at a 4-3 look. Again, we'll see some 46 pressure defense from the Sooners. Bateau on first down, hands off to LaDainian Tomlinson for 1.5 yards, out past the 25, near the 26-yard line. Kelly Gregg and Corey Callens in the middle for the Sooners to make the tackle. It'll be a 2nd down and 9 just underway.
And Oklahoma comes out. They've kind of varied that 46. They had 9 guys in the box, 7 up on the line. They're going to attack that option and try to make the Frogs throw it.
And the Frogs now with a 2nd down and 9 with the ball just outside the 25-yard line. James split wide left. They go to an offset I backfield with 3 men behind the quarterback, and a pitch fumbled by Mitchell, picked up at the 20, out to the 25, and he still gains 1 yard, but that's all. They had Royce Huffman in a slot right, almost as a wingback that time. And the pitch back to Mitchell was fumbled, picked up on the bounce, and he gets 1 yard before Mike Woods, the cornerback, comes to get him. It'll be 3rd down, and they'll need about 8.
Yeah, and you've got Royce coming back toward the formation at the snap. He puts a crack on the linebacker, and Basil had room around the right side if he hadn't fumbled it. He fumbled it, and the play went to pieces.
3rd down, scoreboard says 6. I don't know if I believe that. I'm going to call it 3rd and 7 near the 27-yard line. And again, against the Oklahoma 46 defense, they crowd the center and put 2 men over him. From the shotgun, Bateau will see a 4-man rush. Lobs the ball out to Mitchell just off his fingertips. at the 30-yard line with Terry White defending on the play. And the Horned Frogs will have to punt. Royce Huffman, who last week did not have the kind of day he had hoped. He did so much, punted 6 times for 34 yards. He will take the shoe off with the help of a trainer and prepare to punt the ball away for the first time this evening downfield to Oklahoma's Gerald Jackson. And we'll see the Sooner offense coming up here in just a moment. And we're still not sure exactly who the Oklahoma quarterback will be. Last week it was sophomore walk-on Patrick Fletcher. We'll see if he starts or if Brandon Daniels gets the call tonight, as Huffman stands barefooted at his own 13-yard line. The All-American baseball player launches a punt into the wind, a line drive kick that will bounce at the 40 and take a TCU roll to the 35, down inside the 35, down to about the 32-yard line where Kyle Williams will down it, and Oklahoma will start first down and 10. We do know that junior Damon Parker out of Tulsa is their go-to guy. Seth Luttrell is the fullback. Reggie Skinner in the wishbone when they run it will be the other halfback, with Chris Blocker, Jason Freeman, and Gerald Jackson as receivers and tight end, respectively. Stephen Burcham, Adam Carpenter, Matt O'Neill, Jason Bronson, and Andre Pittman across the front line. Will set the Horned Frog defense in a moment. And yes, Patrick Fletcher, a sophomore walk-on from Norman, who isn't even in their media guide, the son of an ex-Oklahoma player, is their quarterback. He led them to victory last week. The Frogs open with J.W. Wilson, Sean Worthen, Aaron Schobel, and Cam Hunt on the defensive line. A run with an I formation double tight end on this first down play from the 32-yard line, and whistles blow at the snap of the football, and they may not have gotten the ball off in time. Joseph Phipps and Shannon Brazil will open at linebacker.
Dead ball. Delay game on the offense. 5 yards. Still first down.
And so the delay of game with Greg Walls and Andre Bruce as the cornerbacks. Reggie Hunt and Curtis Fuller are the safeties, and the strong safety in place of the banged-up Russell Gary is Barry Browning, the former Oklahoma State Cowboy who transferred here 3 years ago. It'll be first down and 15 with the ball back at the 27. So now at the starting lineup set, they go with a stack I. 3 running backs stacked behind the quarterback, and a pitch going to Parker. To the outside, Brazil chasing, Fuller chasing, and Browning drops him out of bounds at about the original line of scrimmage near the 32-yard line. John, they load up that time, not 1, not 2, but 3 running backs right behind the quarterback. One of them shifts into a slot, and then they pitch the ball to Parker.
Yeah, all the build-up and talk about, they're going back to the wishbone. Well, they do run a lot of wishbone, but you'll see a lot of that stack I, and they just load it up and toss it and let the fullback and the Z-back lead them out around the left side. Good pursuit that time by the defense.
13 minutes left to go in the first quarter. It's 2nd and 10 near the 32. The Frogs put 4 down linemen up on the line of scrimmage. Stack guy and an option left to Fletcher, who turns it upfield, is hit first by Brazil and then finished off by Joe Phipps, who led the team in tackles a year ago and last week had 12 tackles in the win at Iowa State. That's a gain of, about 3 more? And so that'll make it 3rd down, and they'll still need about 7 for the first down.
Well, and the Frog defense looking quick here in this first series. That's one thing Gary Patterson likes, is a lot of speed. And with Reggie Hunt and some of the players that he's got, Cam Hunt, Kyle Williams, they've got a defense that can run, and that's a key. Also, Fletcher's not that big a guy. He's only 170 pounds. He'll take a beating.
3 receivers split left on 3rd and 7 out of the shotgun. The snap to Fletcher. Frogs put on the pass rush. Whistles blow as he completes the pass to Ahmed Kaba, but it'll all come back pending the outcome of the flag.
I think it took too much time to get the play off.
Prior to the snap. False start. Offense. 5 yards. Repeat 3rd down.
Brian Estridge, not a real good start for the Sooners offensively. Second time that has happened on this drive.
Well, I think some of that is because you've got, as you mentioned, a redshirt sophomore at quarterback. Played in his first game of his entire career last week against North Texas. It was in the friendly confines of Norman, Oklahoma, his hometown. A little different here tonight in Fort Worth. There's a lot of purple. It's loud down here on the field.
3rd down and about 13. Ball back at the 29-yard line. 5 steps behind the center in the shotgun. He'll run the quarterback keeper and is buried. Tries the quarterback draw, and Sean Worthen all over him. Sean Worthen, a sophomore from Alamo Heights in San Antonio, was having none of that. He maybe gets a yard out of it, and it'll be 4th down, and the Sooners will have to send out the punter for the first time tonight, and the Frogs have held defensively, and they get a very nice ovation from their fans.
Boy, Sean Worthen goes right through Adam Carpenter, the left guard, and then you've got Pat Fletcher at 169 pounds against Worthen at about 305.
And the punter, Ferguson, standing back at his own 14-yard line to punt it away to Royce Huffman. long count here and a high snap, but he'll bring it down and gets it away. With the wind at his back, he booms it out of there. And here's Royce at the 15, 20, upfield 25, and slips down at the 26-yard line after a return of about 11 with Corey Ivy downfield. That's a 56-yard punt with the wind at his back by Ferguson, and the Frogs, in a scoreless first quarter, will get the football for the second time tonight.
Good return by Royce, and chance for a return there because that wind is pretty strong. It's probably picking up over 15 miles an hour down on the field. Brian's pretty strong down there?
Yeah, it is gusting at times, but all in all, I think he benefited from the fact he had the wind behind him. All in all, it's pretty good down here.
Well, the Frogs now with Patrick Bateau, Tomlinson, and Mitchell all standing beside Bateau, who will go shotgun. From the 25, the line of scrimmage, they have receivers split left and right. No tight end in the formation this time. Bateau calling out the signals, and now in motion comes Crawford. Long count. Ladowich snaps it to Bateau. A flag flies. There may have been motion by the Frogs as he completed the pass to Cedric James. Check that to Varys Moore. It'll all come back. And so it looks like, here comes Claire Gaussman.
Front of the snap. False start. Offense, 5 yards. Still first down.
John, the game was relatively penalty-free last week in Ames, but so far tonight, you've had a couple on each ball club.
Well, both teams trying to stumble out of the blocks there. And the Frogs there trying to change the play at the line. That's something you see a lot of in Dennis Franchione's offense. They basically have a play for each situation. And they see a defensive set they want to take advantage of. That's why what they try to do there. And everybody got a little excited.
First and 15 at the 20. They send Moore wide right, James wide left. Offset backfield behind Bateau. It's Tomlinson and Mitchell. Bateau runs the option near side, and Mitchell with a big hole. 25-30, out to the 35-40. He may be gone at midfield to the 40. 35-30, 25-20, 15-yard line, and finally knocked out of bounds by the last Oklahoma Sooner, Ganna Joseph, after a run by Basil Mitchell of 66 yards inside the Oklahoma 15.
Well, they run the option to the left side. They read it before the play, and boy, Bateau makes a great pitch, and Basil with a good open field move, and boy, the lineman down the field with the downfield blocks, that's picture perfect.
Got one for you.
Threatening again, Brian Estridge.
I tell you what, Michael Keithley, John Denton, did a great job blocking at left tackle on the option. Then he got up and made one more block downfield just for good measure. That sprung Basil Mitchell.
So it's first down at the 13. Huffman lined up in the backfield this time and goes in motion. Bateau option right. Will he keep or pitch? He'll keep and loses a yard. Very well strung out by Kelly Gregg again, along with defensive end Cornelius Burton. And that time they did a number on the Horned Frogs, running to the wide side of the field. It'll be second down and 11.
Boy, in another kind of quirky formation, you see Huffman in the backfield, motions out of the formation to the right and leads the play out. But a defensive line for Oklahoma with Fisher and Gregg and Burton. They're big, they're pretty fast, and they're really good.
Kelly Gregg, a senior out of Edmond, Oklahoma. He's a dandy. They send James wide right.
Huffman
on second and 11. Huffman lined up in the backfield again in an I formation. He's in a slot and now goes in motion. Bateau runs the reverse. Cedric James has room to the 15, 10, 5. He'll score. Standing up, Cedric James had an easy time of it. There's a penalty flag at the 1-yard line. The Horned Frogs are on the board pending the penalty flag, and what an easy time of it Cedric James had.
Well, they're talking like it may be a clip. Oklahoma is pointing at the Frogs. See what the call is.
Oh.
We're going to take the penalty. We're going to go back 15 yards.
You know, if we go to break, I'm going to stand up with you.
Fine, it's a touchdown. Okay, we're going to go back 15 yards.
Claire Gaussman telling him what's going on down there, so negate the touchdown. It's a tough break. And I guess he was so wide open, maybe that was the reason he was so wide open. Here's Gaussman to tell us more about it.
Clipping on the offense, 15 yards, repeat second down.
Well, a lot of times, Bill, when you get a change of flow play like that on an end around, you're going to find linemen in situations where they're ready to tee off on somebody and they turn their back to you, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can hold up sometimes and you fall right over the guy and it still looks like a clip. So Frogs still in good position here, second down on the Oklahoma 21.
It happened so far downfield, yeah, they bring it back to the 16-yard line. And so that's where TCU will start, and more whistles with 10-14 to go here in the first. We're scoreless. A 66-yard Basil Mitchell run set TCU up inside the 15. And now they're back at the 16 following the clipping penalty, which again occurred downfield on the touchdown run call back from 14 yards out.
I tell you, Dan Dodd talked in our pregame show about the need to hang on to the football and control the ball and also make some big plays. Had a couple there. And that's good also because that defense that Oklahoma likes to play, they like to pack it in and threaten you. When you start getting it wide on them, you can bust some big plays, and that's gonna make them get back on their heels a little bit.
We are so high up here that you can see them open up too. I mean, you really, sometimes we say this has got to be the highest press box in the world, but on plays like that, especially on Mitchell's 66-yard run, you could see it coming from up here. He had a huge gap on that option.
You can almost see it really before it happens. And if I step on you tonight, pardon me, Coach.
We're having fun, I'll say that. The first home game of the year, and so far it's been a lot of fun as TCU threatens here early on. It's 2nd and 13 at the 16-yard line. Two receivers wide right, Moore and Crawford near hash mark. They go double tight end. Mitchell, the lone tailback, and here's Crawford in motion. Three-step drop. Bateau's in trouble. Bateau scrambles, dumps it out in the flat. It's Basil Mitchell caught and dragged down after a 2-yard gain. That was a wild play. Brandon Moore by the jersey finally gets Basil Mitchell, or he scores that time, John. But I thought Bateau was going to get sacked back at about the 25-yard line, and he got out of jail to make a play.
Well, there's a mobile quarterback for you, and Kelly Gregg gets back in the backfield and is wreaking havoc back there. Bateau able to get away from him just long enough to get rid of the ball, and then Brandon Moore makes a great open field play. If he doesn't get Basil down, Basil's going to score.
3rd and 11. The ball back where it started a moment ago at the 14. The Frogs are going against the wind. They have two receivers split left. Offset eye behind Bateau, who wants to roll out. Looking near sideline. Patrick will tuck it. 15 down to the 13 near the 12. The Sooners stop him there. Ante Jones, the linebacker, comes up to make the play, and the Frogs will face a 4th down. And Chris Kalaki, who hit a field goal last week for TCU and was perfect on his extra points, will come on to try the field goal for TCU. Again, last week, Kalaki had a 23-yarder for the final points of the ball game. This will be a 29-yard field goal against the wind. Jeff Dover to hold. And let's see how the Frogs do here on their first opportunity. Edmondson snaps it. Dover puts it down, and Kalaki's kick is on the way, and it spins through, and the Frogs are on the board. 8:42 left to go here in the opening quarter. TCU's Chris Kalaki, a 29-yard field goal. The Frogs lead the Sooners 3-0. More after this timeout.
Run by Basil Mitchell.
Now I remember the play now.
Help wanted. Immediate openings available for the most important jobs in America, helping the organizations that help children. Whatever you can do, in whatever time you have, you can make a difference. To learn how you can help in your community, reach us at this web address and number. We're fighting for the children. Whose side are you on?
It's impossible!
Actually, Coach, it's not. See, Jimmy had to travel a distance of 90 feet. He reached an average speed of 15 miles per hour. The ball left 2 seconds later than Jimmy and had to go 1.5 times the distance.
If education is important to you, talk to your child's school about raising academic standards. Call 1-800-38-BE-SMART for a free booklet. And be a big league
Thus
parent.
enabling it to reach the destination at a much quicker rate.
Did you factor in the wind speed?
That's what you want to see against a big-time opponent like Oklahoma, Bill. Keep it away from them, and you control the game, and you can survive on that.
Michael Thornton and Damon Parker back deep to receive the kickoff by Chris Kalaki, a 5-play, 68-yard drive that included a 66-yard run by Basil Mitchell. And again, against the wind, Kalaki approaches it and puts a pretty good toe into it. This will be Thornton. Check that. Damon Parker at the 5. 10 going left, 15, 20. Look out. 25, 30, 35, and trip down. tripped by one of his own guys, I think, at about the 35-yard line, fell forward to the 28. I think as fell forward to the 38, as Darrell Royal once said, self-tackleization on Damon Parker that time after a 31-yard kickoff.
You're reading my mind, and he's dangerous in the open field. He cuts it around on the left side on the return, and it looked like he was trying to make a cut to get out of the way. He was setting up Greg Walls and just barely may have clipped a blocker, one of his own guys.
They mark it at the 37-yard line, and they stack the eye again behind the sophomore Fletcher, the walk-on. Receiver split left and right, far hash mark, first down at the 37-yard line. Fletcher will hand off, and it's Luttrell, the fullback, for no gain as Aaron Schobel, TCU's fine sophomore defensive end, steps up to make the play. The Frogs had, 5 sacks in the ball game last week. Did a very good job defensively in their pass rush, and they stop him for maybe a 1-yard gain on that. Now he got nothing. Call it second and 10.
Absolutely nothing. And Shannon Brazil in there, too. You know, Shannon starting in place of Cody Mortensen, who was actually going to be the starter last week, had 10 tackles against Iowa State.
Stack eye, second and 10 near the 37-yard line. The Frogs put Walls, make that Hunt up near the line of scrimmage. Pitch coming this way to Parker. He gets around Hunt and has a whole 40 out to the 45. Brazil brings him down. There's a penalty flag down as he goes down near the 46-yard line, about a yard shy of a first down. But the penalty flag, Brian Estridge is all the way back at the 37-yard line.
I think this is going to be a hold, Bill. Here's the official call, and it is. You can see it from the fullback, Luttrell.
Going to still have second down, right? Second down.
So that will negate what would have been.
Holding. Fence 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Repeat second down.
And Oklahoma now has 3 penalties so far tonight. And that one hurts. That means that they, instead of having it second down and 1 at about, or third and 1 near the 46-yard line, they're all the way back at the 27. So big difference of almost 20 yards on that play of what they should have had and what they have now. Stack eye then on second down and 20. 7:35 to go. 3-0 TCU in the first quarter. Near hash mark, Fletcher to throw. Hunt hits him as he delivers upfield. Short. Walls is there. The Oklahoma fans want a flag and get one. And, John, the reason they'll get one is because Greg Walls, if this indeed is on TCU, Walls never turned around to look back at the football, which is what you have to do if you're a defensive back in order to avoid getting the flag.
Yeah, Walls did everything right, except he didn't get his body turned and his head back toward the ball, which equates to face guarding. Let's see what the official says.
Question as to whether or not it was a catchable.
Pass interference on the defense. 15 yards. First down.
And was that a catchable pass?
Depends on which staff you ask, I think, at this point. As the TCU Horned Frog coaching staff was saying, that was not a catchable ball. Should not have been pass interference. But you can see they did make the call on it, and now Oklahoma at 1st and 10 at their own 42.
So penalties almost took a first down away from the Sooners. They get it back with a penalty on TCU, and they get it at their own 42-yard line. Near side, double tight end, I formation with the receiver split right. Fullback. And the inside option handoff. This is the fullback out to the outside for about a 9-yard gain. This is Carson Fields, and Reggie Hunt drops him near the sideline. And so Seth Luttrell, the sophomore, and Carson Fields, a junior from Tulsa, alternating there. They're going to call it a 10-yard gain and a first down across the Frog into the field of the 47. So it'll be a first down for the Sooners.
Boy, he's a load. 5'9", 203, little squatty body. Pops it up the middle, nothing there, bounces outside. Pretty good speed for a little squatty guy.
Last week, Fletcher was 5 for 5 for 84 yards. And Fields will play a lot. He's still in there. Damon Parker's gone all the way. And Fletcher runs the option left, turns it inside. Wilson and Phipps get him, along with Schobel at the 45 after a 2-yard, make it a 2.5-yard gain for the sophomore Patrick Fletcher. Again, last week for Oklahoma in their win, Damon Parker, 20 carries for 126 yards. Luttrell had 51, and Fields had 39. So that looks more and more like the old Sooner stats of years past where they had a lot of rushing yards.
Yeah, I have one guy who's really their bell cow, and then a couple others that they can toss it to give the star a break.
2nd and 8 at the 45. I formation again, and a double tight end set, looking at a 4-3 defensive alignment, and a pitch coming this way. It's Parker in trouble. Doug Shanks hits him, and they drop him all the way back at the 40-yard line. It was Shanks, and then it was Aaron Schobel and Joseph Phipps, all in the Sooner backfield, and that's a loss of a dozen. and that puts Oklahoma in a big hole with 6.5 minutes to go in the quarter.
Boy, you had Shanks, then you had Schobel, and then Phipps comes in to finish him off. Parker's bouncing around back there like a pinball, and give him credit for being a good enough athlete to maintain balance, but every time he got hit, he lost about 3 or 4 yards, and they finally nailed him back at the 43.
And this Horned Frog defense, who did such a solid job last week, made a play there. It'll be 3rd and about 20 near their own 43-yard line, and they go shotgun again. Fletcher to throw. Here comes the blitz, and now the whistles blow from all over the field. And we'll see what the indication is here. And there have been a bunch of them already tonight. Again, the guy you'll hear a lot of is Claire Gaussman.
Prior to the snap, false start. On the offense, 5 yards, still 3rd down.
4th Oklahoma penalty, 25 yards, John.
Well, you'd figure, usually your rate of improvement's pretty great from game 1 to game 2. Right now, Oklahoma seems to be a little bit askew in terms of their timing, and things are a little out of sync. But as Brian said, it's loud down there. They may have some trouble hearing the snap count.
Well, now they have to deal with a 3rd and 25 back at the 38-yard line. Parker standing beside Fletcher in a shotgun with 3 receivers split left. Frogs rush 4. Back to throw Fletcher. Floats it upfield. It's caught by the tight end. He's short of a 1st down at the 40-yard line. The pass completed to Jason Freeman, the tight end. 17-yard gain. 4th down and 3. And, John, what do you do if you're John Blake here and you're on the road?
Well, you've got 5 minutes left in the first quarter. It's early yet. You can gamble. You're in plus territory. Let's see what he does.
They're going to go for it.
They're going to load up and go after it.
And I can't say that I blame them. I mean, if you're on the road, you've got to play for the win, or at least play for momentum. And now this is a big play early in this football game. The TCU fans are on their feet, as are the Sooner fans. And it's 4th down and 3. The nose of the football near the 40 from the near hash mark. The stack eye again. And this is one that the Horned Frogs would love to stop here. Sophomore Patrick Fletcher with a long count and a pitch to Parker. Parker to the outside. Parker looking for the pile-on. He will get there, I think. Strung out well by TCU's Curtis Fuller, but Parker drops his shoulder, runs into Aaron Schobel, and then with help from Joe Phipps, the Frogs finally get Parker down, but not before he gets the 1st down.
Boy, 2 big plays there. The big pass over the middle, and then that play that time, Bill, they line up in the stack eye, and it's a toss to Parker around the left side. And with that wide side of the field, that's almost impossible to stop unless you just have somebody that just blasts through there, and it didn't happen for the Frogs that time.
2 years ago, Parker against TCU, 8 carries, 43 yards in TCU's win. He has improved a little bit since then. 1st down at the 36. The Frogs put Stuart Ashley right over the center here and spread out the 4-man line. Inside handoff to Luttrell, and he's stacked up for no gain. Kyle Williams, number 89, and Terrence Maiden, a young linebacker whose twin brother Tim is a wide receiver for TCU, steps up to make that tackle. It'll be 2nd down and about 9.5. Give him credit for a yard on the play, and that's about all.
Yeah, Kyle Williams doing a good job there, stacking it up. And he's out of Round Rock, big senior. He's quietly had a great career at TCU.
Yes, he has, playing in the shadow of some pretty good players over the years, but Williams is in there, along with Ashley. The 2nd down and 9 at the 35. 5-step drop. Fletcher floats the ball downfield for Chris Blocker, who does not get to it in time. Walls in coverage. He had a half a step on Greg Walls, but Fletcher overthrows him at about the 15-yard line. Brian Estridge, that'll bring up a 3rd down and 9.
Another decision coming up now for Oklahoma. You mentioned he did have a step on him, maybe had 2 on Walls on that last play, but as the redshirt sophomore quarterback, who they say weighs 168 pounds, Bill Coates, I'm not so sure. He couldn't quite get it to him.
And there's a timeout on the field. Oklahoma calls one. 3:55 left in the first quarter.
Timeout.
Frogs lead the
Oklahoma,
Sooners 3-0 back after this timeout.
Well, right now with 3:55 to play in the first quarter, it's 3-0 TCU, set up by the big Basil Mitchell run. Now, his run was set up, in fact, by a great block by his tackle, Michael Keithley. Keithley freed him up on the initial block at the end, but then also got one more downfield that gave him the springboard to the 66-yard run. Now, you wonder about the rain. This field has taken a lot of rain in the last couple of days. You'll remember back in 1992, TCU was one of the first Division I school in the state of Texas to remove their AstroTurf and put natural grass down. Well, there's 6 feet of sand up under this turf. It drains real well. So tonight, no problems, supposedly. In fact, TCU is still wearing their half-inch spikes. I talked to Mike Sinkfield, equipment manager, who said no need to change at this point. Looks like the turf's in good condition. Looks like the players have got great traction. So right now, all things positive for TCU, leading at 3-0 with 3:55 to play.
3-0 Frogs lead the Sooners with 3:55 to go here in the first quarter. Our scoreboard update brought to you by Clifford Brunson, attorney at law, Fort Worth, part of the new TCU tradition. Purdue beat Rice today, 21-19. Colorado State over Nevada by a 26-14 count. Colorado held off Fresno State by a 29-21 score. And how about Iowa State winning at Iowa, John? 27-9 made that win up at Ames look pretty good last week.
As a shocker, about lunchtime, I turned that game on, and I took a double take at the television. That made the Frogs win last week look even bigger.
And this win tonight would be nice if they could get it. 3rd down and 9. The Sooners threaten, and they run the reverse, and Jackson wants to throw. Hit as he delivers downfield, and it's picked off by TCU. Reggie Hunt at the 9. Hunt driven down at the 6 on a reverse. Jarrell Jackson tries to throw it deep to the tight end Freeman, and TCU's Reggie Hunt steps in and picks it off, and the Frogs get it back with 3:45 left.
Well, Reggie had a big interception last week that set up the Kalaki field goal that pretty much iced the game. There he makes another nice play. Oklahoma throws the ball into double coverage, actually triple coverage, and Reggie's right there, Johnny on the spot, and the Frogs take over at their own 9.
So TCU forcing a turnover. And again, last week they had a couple of interceptions in that ball game at Iowa State, and this is Reggie Hunt out of Denison, a young man who started 2 years ago, sat most of last year, back in good graces and making a big play there. I formation from the 9. Frogs need to take care of the football here. In the backfield, Lance Williams is the fullback this time, and he gets the handoff at right tackle, gets it across the 10 to the 12 for a gain of 3 as Brandon Moore, the linebacker, steps up to make the tackle.
Yeah, just punch it out a little bit, get a little bit of breathing room, set something up, and pretty nice little gain there, 3 yards or so on the first play, but way down, especially at this point in the game, Bill. You don't want to do anything stupid that turn the ball over, fumble, give Oklahoma great field position and the ball.
Crawford out wide to the right side along with Moore, who's wide left. Lance Williams still in there. Mitchell, the tailback. Tight end is Ilian on 2nd and 7 from the 12, and Bateau rolls out. Looking for a blocker. He'll throw on the run. Completes it to Michael Crawford. First down at the 26-yard line. 14-yard gain bumped out by Mike Woods, and the Frogs move the sticks. And, John, that has to feel awfully good to Crawford after dropping a sure touchdown pass last week to come back and do a nice job there.
Well, I'm sure he saw that in his sleep a few times the last week. That ball right in his hands last week at Iowa State, and he drops it. That time a nice confident roll by Bateau out to the right side on a rollout. Zips it out on the timing pattern on the out to Crawford for a first down.
Cedric James wide left. Moore wide right, far side the short side. Ball near the 27-yard line, and a man in motion. High formation. It's Bateau, handoff right up the gut, and this will be Lance Williams again. And Williams pops for 8. Frank Romero for Oklahoma making the tackle. So TCU's Lance Williams, who was not active at all last week, never carried it, has carried twice in this series for about 11 yards.
Well, they're going to have to pound it up the middle, and coaches were talking about that earlier in the week. They want to continue to roll a lot of people in and out of games early in the season so they can get a lot of experience, because later in the season you start to get injuries and different problems that mount up, and you want plenty of guys. Nice gain there, though. You love this here. Dan Dodd's got to be licking his chops at 2nd and 3.
2nd down and 3, the scoreboard says, and now with the whistles blowing because the clock was about to expire, the Frogs will take a timeout, and we'll keep it here. Special thank you today to our stations along the network who have joined us for this TCU Sports Network broadcast, including Pete Thompson, Todd Chapman, and Easy Azell at KWRD-FM 94.9 The Word in Dallas-Fort Worth. Andy Haskett, David Green at KTCU 88.7 in Fort Worth. Mike Bradley at KKDM AM 1150 and KXEB AM 910 in Dallas. Paul Gleiser and David Smoke at my old station in Tyler, KYZS AM 1490 in Tyler.
You still working there?
They let me. I'm expecting a paycheck this week.
See what I can do about that.
Thank you for making this TCU Sports Network broadcast possible to millions of Texans today. Brian, 3-0. Frogs leading the Sooners. So far, so good. They've done just about everything right.
Well, I think John Denton made a great comment earlier, Bill, when he said that Dan Dodd has got to love this situation. You're right, TCU offensively. All things going pretty well right now. A couple of penalties, as you mentioned on the previous drive, has stopped that drive. Let's see what happens here. Big 2nd and 3 play here.
With 2:24 to go here in the quarter from their own 34-yard line. Huffman slotted left. He goes in motion, and Bateau wants to run the option, and nothing doing. He is knocked down by Ante Jones. Actually never touched, really. He went wide left on the option and then slipped. And Jones was the guy who'll get credit for the tackle, John, but all he had to do was reach down and play tag with the TCU quarterback.
Yeah, Patrick took about 3 steps to his left, and his feet went out from under him, and Jones was right there waiting for him like a doorstop.
3rd and 6 at 55 to go in the quarter. 2 receivers split wide to the right side, including Mike Scarborough for the first time, and they'll go slot. Mitchell in the backfield beside Bateau. Patrick went 4 of 11 passing last week, maybe changing the play. He'll run the quarterback option, turns upfield, nice move, and he has the first down across the 40 and then fumbles, and I think he got it back at the 44-yard line. Let's see what happens at the bottom of the pile, but Bateau lost that ball and then maybe reached out, Brian, and pulled it back in. If he did, it's a first down at the 44-yard line.
I'm not so sure. He and Kelly Gregg are on the bottom of the pile fighting for the football. Kelly Gregg was a heavyweight wrestling champion out of high school in the entire country. Let's see who's come up with this one, as he and Bateau are locked up right now. Kelly Gregg does have it.
That's a tough one right there. It comes down to who's got the biggest arms and who can bite the hardest. And Gregg's a tough one to go up against if you're Pat Bateau.
And what you don't want to have happen in that pile is have Patrick get injured. So they make a mistake and they turn the ball over. The Sooners have it at the 44-yard line. The minute 35 left to go here in the quarter, and again, the ball has to be a little wet. The field holding up well, but you've seen a couple of guys slip down so far tonight, and both the Sooners and the Horned Frogs have turned it over, and now Oklahoma's Patrick Fletcher, the sophomore, runs the stack eye again with Parker dotting that deep eye, runs the option left. He's wrapped up and dropped. That would be Ray Lacey. No, check that, London Dunlap from Houston, the senior, who strings it out and knocks him down for no gain on the play, and he actually loses a yard. Call it 2nd and 11. Great play by Dunlap, who played well last week at Ames.
He sure did. He stepped inside on a couple of plays last week and just nailed Darren Davis right in the kisser. That time he makes a nice play coming right in there and wraps up Parker.
Minute left to go in the quarter. 3-0 Frogs. Oklahoma recovered a fumble, and they have it. Handoff. Parker hit in the backfield by Cam Hunt. They tried the draw play that time, John, and the Frogs really getting surge on that defensive line. J.W. Wilson, who played a great game last week, was also in the backfield, but Hunt was there about the same time Parker got the football.
Well, they've got a nice combination of size and speed, and they're giving the OU offensive line some headaches right now. And boy, if you don't think Damon Parker has a bullseye on his shirt, you're crazy.
He has We'll give you his rushing numbers here in just a moment. They go 3rd and 11 from the shotgun. Standing at the 50 is the quarterback Fletcher. Deep option pitch, and this time Parker has a hole, and he is short of the first down as he lowers his shoulder and runs into Joe Phipps. He had Brazil chasing to the outside, inside the 40 near the 38. He is tackled 3.5 yards shy of the first down, and it looks like the Sooners are going to send out the specialists here. They gambled and won on a 4th down at about 3.5 earlier in the quarter, and now the first quarter has come to an end. The first quarter has come to an end here in Fort Worth, Texas. TCU leading Oklahoma 3-0. We're back after this timeout.
The end of the first quarter there is TCU leading it over Oklahoma 3-0. Good stand defensively going right now. Big 4th down play coming up for the Horned Frogs when the second quarter starts again. Oklahoma will have the football at the TCU 37-yard line, 4th and 4. It looks as if they're going to punt the football away. We'll see what Coach Blake does, see if he decides with the football deep in TCU territory to pull one out of his hat here and go for the fake. TCU, on the other hand, great offensive drive. Stalled last time by Patrick Bateau's fumble as he and Kelly Gregg, who was once a heavyweight champion wrestler out of high school. They wrestled for the football, and Oklahoma got the best of that one. So as we head to the second quarter, TCU leading Oklahoma 3-0. Back up to the booth, Bill Coates and John Denton.
Bill Coates, John Denton, Brian Estridge, and our radio network crew here in Fort Worth for the Horned Frog home opener. Ron Pell, our producer engineer, our statistician Greg Marks, spotter Wayne Gossard. Frogs kick a field goal of 29 yards in the first quarter, capping a 68-yard drive to lead 3-0. The Sooners looking at a punt into the wind. Jeff Ferguson out there at his own 49-yard line after the Horned Frogs apparently have held defensively on 4th down and 4 on the first play of the second quarter. Huffman is back deep, and the Sooners have not been able to muster a whole lot of offense so far tonight. North Texas took the early lead in the game last week in Norman, and a long count trying to draw the Frogs off sides. They do not, and so that will penalize them 5 more. So that's a pretty safe play, John. They hoping to distract the Horned Frogs and maybe get the first down the easy
Dead ball.
way. Here's the
delay of game on the offense. Still 4th down.
And so they didn't, and that'll bring him back to the 43 as an old punter. That's probably a better angle to kick from anyway, isn't it?
Well, it is, but now the pressure's on. You notice they've got the ball on the left hash, which is good because if he happens to shank one, he's still got plenty of field to play to get a good roll on a hop. But he's punting into a pretty good breeze.
Huffman back at the 10-yard line. And again, Jeff Ferguson, the punter, who also does the place kicking, stands at his own 44-yard line. Good snap. Frogs don't put up much of a rush, and this is a very high kick that may find the end zone. It will bounce at the 5 and take a left-hand turn. Nope, the wind caught it, and that's a great punt because the Frogs will have to start near their own 5, maybe the 6-yard line. A 38-yard kick. The ball will straddle the 5, and TCU is 95 yards away. And I don't guess you can do it much better than that, can you?
Now that 5-yard delay of game penalty looks like a pretty sharp play there.
It does, doesn't it?
Otherwise, it's in the end zone. The Frogs, talk about predetermination. Now, you can't always count on that, but Frogs are deep back to near their own end zone there at the 5.
Sooners would just say that's good coaching, just good coaching strategy, right? First down at their own 5-yard line. Tomlinson back in as the fullback with Basil Mitchell, the tailback. They go double tight ends. B.J. Roberts is in there and a lot of noise. Moving left to right from the 5. They hand off to Tomlinson, and Ladanian, the sophomore from Waco, goes for 3 out to the 8-yard line, playing it safe down there, John, in that end of the field, and at least getting positive yards. It'll be 2nd and 7.
There you go. Take off a chunk, 3 or 4 yards, quiet down the crowd, and get ready to do it all again down there in the OU end of the field where they've got a lot of fans making a lot of noise.
Tomlinson last week had 8 carries for 28 yards. Bateau had 20 for 83 and 186 on 22 carries for Basil Mitchell and 3 touchdown runs. He had the second best day of his career and was the WAC Offensive Player of the Week. 2nd down 7. He dots the I. They offset it now with Tomlinson. Bateau rolling left from his own goal line. Hit as he delivers upfield and overthrows Crawford at about the 22-yard line. Took a lick on that play as Corey Ivy defends Michael Crawford. It'll be 3rd down.
Yeah, it's a tough throw on the, if the ball's a little bit slick, he's rolling to his left and he's got to square his shoulders and throw deep route over on the left side, and ball gets away from him, floats a little bit, and falls harmlessly out of bounds. They got a big play here, 3rd and 7.
It would be nice to get this one. Otherwise, they're punting from their own end zone as they go shotgun. Mitchell in the backfield. Scarborough and Tavares Moore wide right. Huffman along with Crawford wide left. From his own 4-yard line, takes the shotgun snap, quarterback draw, cuts to the outside, has room, 15, 20, first down, 25, 30s out to the 32. That's what a running quarterback can do for you. Bateau runs the quarterback option draw as well as anybody you'll see. A 24-yard gain before Kelly Gregg finally brings him down near the 32-yard line.
Boy, that tells you something about Kelly Gregg getting down the field to make that play, but give credit on that play to Mike Crawford, way down the field, giving him an open field block on the corner that time. And Patrick cuts it back inside, covers up the football as he falls. Remember that last play where he lost it. And they're in good shape.
13. Yeah, from their own 5 this drive started. They're now at their own 32 and a half. And again, the offset I. Tomlinson in sort of a slot left. Mitchell behind him. Here comes Bateau on the option, and he's dragged down. That wasn't very much on the play. Lost yardage. Jeremy Wilson Guest bringing him down. We gave you Frank Romero's name earlier. It's Jeremy Wilson Guest a sophomore out of Jones, Oklahoma, who makes the tackle on the play. And so they lose 1.5 yards. It'll be second down as Huffman checks into the game.
Well, that play looked promising starting out, Bill. They're coming to the right side, and there was room there, but Ontel Jones steps up and takes Basil as the pitch man. That's his responsibility, and he shuts that play down.
Huffman in as a slot left, sort of a wing-back left. They go with the I formation, and here comes Bateau on second down. Wants to throw, has blocking, delivers upfield, and overthrows James. Has to be a little bit of a wet football. Ivy on coverage that time. And both quarterbacks have overthrown receivers here in the early going. And again, he's looking into the wind, and that ball has to be awfully tough to throw right now, John.
Well, and he got back on a 5-step drop. He looked, hesitated. Cedric was open, and he couldn't get it to him, and he kind of double pumped, and then he just kind of squirted it out there, and now you got a big third down.
He's 2 for 5, 17 yards passing, and he sends a receiver out wide each way. 2 running backs behind him on third down and about 11 and a half. Bateau rolling out. Rolling, looking now. Runs it, 35, cuts to the outside, 36. Will be short of the first down. Ontel Jones again, bringing him down after a gain of about 5. So the Horned Frogs will be forced to punt with the wind at their back, and you'll see Royce Huffman again. After what looked like a promising start to the drive on the 24-yard scramble by quarterback Patrick Bateau, and then it stalls.
Well, he's trying to find Mike Crawford over on the left side, and good coverage that time. Oklahoma in a 2-deep zone. They do a good job of making it impossible to throw, and now Royce on to try to punt it away.
And Jackson is back deep for Oklahoma as Huffman stands at his own 22-yard line. Huffman can really bang it with the wind at his back. Let's see if he's able to launch one here into this Fort Worth sky. He doesn't have much of a rush. It's a line drive kick that Jackson will take it to 21. 25 left to the 30, 35. He's out to the 37-yard line where he's knocked out. Pretty good return. Joseph Phipps will make the tackle. 43-yard punt, 16-yard return into the field. And Brian Estridge.
We know, Bill, we've talked a lot about Royce Huffman, the punter / wide receiver / punt returner. One of the reasons he may be having some problems punting the football. Last year, of course, he averaged 41.6 yards a kick. This year, his average has dropped down to 34 with only 1 game under his belt. Last year, he didn't have to tape his right ankle because he wasn't playing wide receiver that much. That may be a difference in his punting here this year.
Good point. From the 37, the Sooners in an I formation double tight end look and a receiver left. The Frogs spread out their 4-man line, and the handoff fumble. Luttrell never got a handle on it, and it's loose at the 36. Fletcher and the fullback Luttrell never made connections, and let's see who the wrestler is at the bottom of this pile, Brian. Last time Kelly Gregg won the battle. Now they're trying to unpile here, and we still don't have an indication. What do you see?
I think it's second down for Oklahoma. Unfortunately, Terrence Maiden is the frog at the bottom of the pile. Couldn't come up with a loose football. Oklahoma will retain possession at their 37.
Yeah, good call there, Brian. Back to your comment on Royce Huffman, I couldn't agree with you more. We were talking about that last week with all the things he's trying to do during the regular first and second down, and then the tape job on the ankle is not going to produce a lot of good punts.
They lost a half a yard, second and 10 and a half near the 36-yard line, and so Fletcher will run the option left, being chased, cuts up field for 3, maybe 4, where Joe Phipps gets him along with Maiden and Worthen on the play. And that'll bring up a third down for the Sooners. They'll still need what looks like about 7 with 10:59 to play in the quarter.
Good job by Schobel that time, moving up the field and turning that play back in. Worthen tried to get a handful of jersey and just couldn't get there, and they turned him back inside. You don't want to let that guy outside. Pretty good play there. Big third down coming up.
Sooners are 0 for 4 on these third downs. They stack the eye again, and the Frogs with Wilson right over the center. Fletcher to throw, blitz coming. He lofts the ball downfield, and it is incomplete. Ahmed Kaba, who caught 2 touchdown passes last week, that was a poorly thrown ball because it was behind him. Greg Walls in coverage, but if that had been well thrown, that's a first down completion.
And that's Walls getting turned around in coverage again, Bill. You think that the Oklahoma coaches didn't see that last week against Iowa State? Iowa State, Bandauer, and some of those receivers from Iowa State were working Walls over pretty good in last week's game.
Ferguson had a 72-yard punt last week. He's out of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, and he will punt here to Royce Huffman. Standing at the 15, Ferguson's at his own 26-yard line. See if the Frogs try to put on a rush here. Yep, here they come. And they'll this low snap. They'll get him. They didn't block the punt, but Hunt nails him at the 30-yard line. A low snap, and they were bringing the house, Brian, and that time the Frogs force another big play on the special teams.
Bill, you could tell they were coming as the two in Frogs, if you will, that were lined up on the wideouts of the punt team for Oklahoma. They had angled in. They were coming from the corners as well. Second week in a row, the special teams make big plays for the Horned Frogs.
Last week, they blocked a field goal and ran it in for a touchdown, John, tonight. Tonight, they don't block the punt, but they force the punter to have to eat the football.
Well, and they're bringing those guys from the outside, and you can see that as a punter out of your peripheral vision. Ball's a little slick, take your eye off of it just for a second, and bam, all of a sudden you think you're a running back and you're getting your teeth knocked out.
Ladewig will snap the ball to Bateau from the 30. Patrick wants to option and runs into a wall. Ante Jones has been all over the place tonight, and that time he could smell option left, and that's exactly what Patrick Bateau served up to him, and it'll be a loss of about 5 on the play.
I think he had a little miscommunication there. It looked like Patrick went one way and the backs went the other. In fact, that is what happened. Patrick went left and
is he getting the audio
right.
And so that'll bring a 2nd and 14 to bear here with 10 minutes to go in the quarter. Frogs need to take advantage of these opportunities. Again, they have the wind at their back, and it's a pretty strong one now. Huffman, wing left, I formation. Behind the quarterback, Bateau, and he hands it to Royce, and Royce, who's an old high school quarterback, will throw it back to Patrick Bateau. Caught at the 20, 15, and down at the 12. Patrick Bateau, the leading receiver last year, converted to quarterback, becomes a receiver again, and the Frogs get 22 and a first down.
Yeah, the old throwback play. Get him flowing one way, and Royce just pulls up and lofts a grenade over across the field. Bateau, he can do so many things, and that's what you get when you have a quarterback that's a great athlete like that and plays basketball, can play wide. He's an old wide receiver, caught 27 passes last year for the Frogs.
And old high school teammates. Didn't they go to high school together at Sugar Land Elkins?
Elkins, you got it.
Huffman and Patrick Bateau teaming up. Ball near the 12-yard line. Huffman stays in as a wing, goes in motion. Bateau runs the option. Huffman throws a block. Here's the pitch. Flag down as Basil Mitchell turns the corner and tightropes the sidelines out of bounds at the 6-yard line. But again, there is a penalty flag down back at the 17-yard line. And the Frogs are reacting as if this is against Oklahoma.
Preliminary indication was against Oklahoma. I didn't catch it. Brian, did you see it?
No, I'm not sure what the penalty was, but the line judge made the call on Basil Mitchell going out of bounds. In fact, field judge, who was at the goal line,
Personal
didn't make the
foul
call.
on the defense, half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
Got to be a late hit on the quarterback.
Must be.
After the option pitch.
That helps.
We look at a replay here in the booth, and it's still hard to tell. And so TCU will get half the distance to the goal. They'll gladly take it, and they will have a first down. They'll have a first and goal coming up here at about the 3-yard line.
That's handy.
Yeah, that'll work. You'll take those any chance you can. And so the Frogs are knocking on the touchdown door here, John.
Well, I'll tell you what, field position, turnovers, penalties, and we got 2 of the 3 right now.
Frogs lead 3-0, 9:15 to go here in the second quarter against Oklahoma, and they have it first and goal at the 3. Mitchell, Tomlinson, and Huffman all in the ball game in that same wing stacked I formation, double tight ends. They put Huffman in motion, long count. Bateau knocked down as he pitches to Mitchell, who gets it at the 5, cuts back at the 3-yard line. He gets nothing out of all that. Ladewig may have snapped that a little bit before Patrick was ready. Not sure who to blame on that, but Patrick still managed to get rid of the football and avoid disaster.
Well, I believe Ladewig moved back and stepped on Patrick's foot, and as he's falling, he may have been down when he pitched it, but we're watching the replay. As he's falling, he turns around and pitches to Basil, and boy, what a great athletic move we've seen Bateau make here in the last couple of plays.
Now there's an Oklahoma player down, and Brian, I'm seeing raincoats come out. Is it indeed raining down there?
Yeah, the drizzle has begun again here for many of the fans at Amon Carter Stadium. You know, the last play by Bateau, Ladewig did in fact step on his foot. The Horned Frogs get lucky as Bateau pitched it behind his back to the running back, Basil Mitchell, who got it down inside the 5-yard line. The injured player, by the way, for the Oklahoma Sooners, still trying to pick up that number for you right now.
Ganna Joseph, the safety.
Well, that'd be a big loss. He had 8 tackles last week against North Texas. He's a senior. had a great career at OU, and they need him at that strong safety spot.
We, by the way, have Basil Mitchell with 4 carries for 75 yards, which would put him 1 yard past Lindy Berry, who is certainly a big name ex-Horned Frog, one of the greats in TCU history. Basil Mitchell would then be number 9 on TCU's all-time rushing list and climbing fast up the ladder.
Boy, talk about Lindy Berry. Some of those names on that all-time rushing list, some great names. Lindy Berry, a real gentleman, too.
Yes, a great guy. And then Ross Montgomery's next, Tony Darthard, Mike Luttrell, Jim Swink, Curtis Motkins, and then your old buddy and our old friend Kenneth Davis, who's 3rd on the all-time list. Tony Jeffrey is number 1, and he's way out there. It would take a Heisman Trophy season for Basil Mitchell to get to Tony Jeffrey, well over 2,000 yards, I think, but still, he's moving up the ladder pretty quickly.
Well, I played with Tony here in the mid-'80s, and I tell you what, he had some huge games running out of that pier. In fact, he had 347 one day against Tulane in the Superdome.
Yeah, which was an NCAA record for about a week, wasn't it, or something like that? And stations, we need to take an ID. Let's pause 15 seconds for station identification on the TCU Sports Network.
I think he got his bell rung, Bill.
It's a thin line between newborn and stillborn, full term and premature.
Let's go back to play here. 2nd and goal at the 4-yard line with Huffman in motion, I formation. Bateau wants to throw, steps back, lobs to the end zone, overthrows Jason Illian, the tight end. They were trying to use a little sleight of hand that time and were not able to fool any of the Oklahoma players, and that one, John, may have also been a little too slow to develop.
Well, it was a little bit slow. They do counter like they're going to go to the right on an option and then pull it up and throw back. He was trying to throw a little fade and got a little strong with it to Jason. Actually hit a photographer down there in the end zone, but not a bad call down here. You've 2nd down and short, 2nd and goal. Now you got to get down to business here, 3rd down and goal.
Between the 3 and the 4. 3 backs behind the quarterback, Bateau. 3rd down and goal with Huffman in motion. Now an eye, and Bateau runs the option near side. He cuts back, slips, falls, and falls forward to the 3. And the Sooners do an outstanding job that time, as coming up to make that tackle for the Oklahoma Sooners was cornerback Mike Woods, with help from Trevor Nutt, a defensive end, and there is more. Brandon Moore, the middle linebacker, and Jeremy Wilson Guest also helped out, and Brandon Moore, the middle linebacker, is down for the Sooners.
Yeah, he's grabbing his right ankle. I think he got cut on that particular play. And again, the field just a little bit soggy, and Patrick trying to cut it back and duck it into the end zone there, and his feet again just go out from under him. And big 4th down coming here, and Dennis Franchione with a big decision to make.
Frog fans, the home crowd deserves a home game, and that's why we are rolling out the red carpet for you on Fan Appreciation Day, October 31st, when the Wyoming Cowboys come to town. If you'd like to purchase a block of tickets for your employees or buy a block for your favorite youth group at a reduced rate, then call today, 257-FROG, and let them know you want to be a part of the home crowd. Plus, Frog Alley turns into Trick or Treat Alley that day. All children under 12 get in free with their costume, plus select seating for mom and dad will be $5. It's Fan Appreciation Day, Saturday, October 31st, Halloween against Wyoming, right here at Amon Carter Stadium.
What are you going to be at Halloween, Billy? What's your costume?
You know, I'm waiting for you to say I don't need a costume. That's got to be the next line up.
I wasn't going to say that.
Brian
really
Estridge. Now, Brian dressed all purple. I mean, head to toe purple down there.
He looks
Brian, you look like a grape down there, man.
You know, someone said it looked like an eggplant. I'd much rather be a grape.
He looks like the grape in the Fruit of the Loom commercial.
By the way, they ended up looking at the middle linebacker's right knee, Brandon Moore. It looked like his right knee instead of his ankle as he is helped off the field here.
Looks like the Frogs will settle for a field goal try here on 4th down and 3. So they'll bring, actually, this will be 4th down near the 4-yard line. So Jeff Dover and Chris Kalaki come out. Brian Edmondson, the deep snapper, and they will try what amounts to a 21-yard field goal. Kalaki, a soccer-style kicker out of Austin. Dover, the junior quarterback, to hole. Kalaki, a right-footed kicker. Frogs trying to make it 6-0. Edmondson snaps. Dover puts it down. Kalaki puts it up, and he drills it. And TCU adds 3 more. 8-11 left to go here in the second quarter. And the new score, TCU 6, Oklahoma nothing. Back after this timeout.
Well, here from the sidelines, if you take a look at the drives and the offensive output so far for the TCU Horned Frogs, they've been successful moving the football. Inside the red zone, though, things have stalled. We're sure that Coach Dennis Francione will take a look at that at halftime. He, along with Dan Dodd, the offensive coordinator, take a look at red zone performance as 2 drives now have stalled, had to settle for field goals with a turnover by Patrick Bateau earlier. The offense continuing to move until it gets to a certain point, and then things bottoming out, if you will. But right now, TCU leading it 6-0 as we're in the second quarter here from Amon Carter Stadium, and you'll notice the rain starts to come down a little heavier now. Umbrellas, raincoats, and the like are back out. We'll keep an eye on the conditions of the field here from the sidelines. Also, keep you up to date on the condition of that football, which we know at times will get a little slippery. We'll do that from here at the sidelines as we go back up to the booth. Coach and John Denton.
Plays 27 yards, 2 minutes and 16 seconds off the clock as Chris Kalaki adds his second field goal of the night. John, a 21-yarder.
Yeah, good drive there, but they really would have liked to have 7 there after the turnover. But 6-0 in the second quarter, that's not a bad position to be in. A lot like the game last week. The Frogs started out slow, stuttered a little bit, but gave themselves time to kind of gather themselves and slowly take control of the ball game.
That's the good news. The bad news is they've sputtered a bit inside the red zone and would sure love to have a touchdown. But Chris Kalaki will come on to kick off for TCU. He's a redshirt freshman out of Austin St. Michael's, and he'll kick deep. Parker will take it at the 5. DeMond up the far side, 10. Coming left, 15, and knocked down and dropped. Big time at the 17-yard line. TCU's George Lane, a backup fullback, put the hammer on DeMond Parker, and the Sooners will start 83 yards away.
Boy, great job there by Lane on the kickoff coverage, staying right in his lane, no pun intended. Goes right down, works his way through a block, and drops the boom on Parker.
Man, what a hit by Lane. Every once in a while you get one of those where it's almost like Mark McGuire hitting a baseball. Perfect stroke, perfect lick. And TCU sees the Sooners start from their own 18-yard line. Fletcher still the quarterback. He hands to Parker, coming left, runs into Schobel and Hunt, and Fuller, who come in to help out, along with Kyle Williams after a gain of a couple. 2nd down and 8 for DeMond Parker, who has not had much of a first half so far. We'll get his numbers for you in a moment. He has 6 carries, 5 yards. Is that right for DeMond Parker?
Sounds like Darren Davis's numbers last week in the second half.
And then he had a huge day today for Iowa State at Iowa. Now, Parker's capable of exploding, so you certainly have to knock on wood when you say that. 2nd down and 8 from the 20. I formation. Luttrell the fullback. Fletcher option right. Will Fletcher keep it? He will, and has a hole past Phipps, and a big hole, and he may be gone. Fletcher with nobody in front of him. They'll try to catch him at the 30 and finally get him at the 22-yard line. Curtis Fuller makes a touchdown-saving tackle. If that were Jamel Holloway from, 15 years ago, he's gone. But Fletcher ran it to perfection. I mean, that was a great-looking option by Fletcher, who looked him off, John, and kept it for 58 yards and a first down at the Frog 22-yard line.
Sure did, working it right down the line, worked it perfectly, got outside, then cut it back, and that's the beauty of the option. You don't have to block everybody, just create a little bit of a seam or a zone, and he's off to the races. God, he almost looks like James Street running, a little bitty white guy playing quarterback with the number 16 on his shirt.
Well, Oklahoma fans would prefer you say Steve Davis or Jack Mildren, I guess. So it's
right. Dean Blevins.
Or Dean Blevins at the 22-yard line. Stacked I formation, and they hand off to Luttrell, who's hit and dropped. No gain. Schobel crashing in from his defensive end spot to make the tackle on Seth Luttrell, the fullback, after maybe a short gain on the play, with 6:40 left to go here in the second quarter, and TCU leading the Sooners 6-0.
And I'm looking at Fletcher on that play. I guess when he got tackled, he may have gotten an ankle twisted. He's kind of hobbling around out there on the 30-yard line. I watched him get up from the play, and then this last play, he's kind of dragging a leg.
Well, the Frogs need to step it up. They've done well defensively so far tonight. It's Cabo wide to the right side, Blocker wide left. No tight end. Stack I again behind Fletcher on 2nd down and about 10. Fletcher runs the option. This time he'll duck it and run himself and maybe gets a yard. That time the Frogs string it out, play their positions well, and Joe Phipps the linebacker makes the tackle. You've got to play the assignment football, John, and that time they did, and Joe Phipps, the shadow on the quarterback, made the play.
Well, Phipps, a senior, he's had a good career. He had 12 tackles last week against Iowa State. Stays at home, slows it up, and then he makes the tackle low, and Terrence Maiden jumps up on top from on high and brings him down.
About halfway between a rain and a drizzle here. It's 3rd down and 10 at the 22. Moving right to left. Sooners stack eye on a 3rd and long. Blitz coming. Fletcher lofts it toward the end zone. And Jackson, it's tipped and almost intercepted. Knocked away by Greg Walls, who had outstanding coverage on Jackson for Oklahoma at the 5-yard line. It'll be 4th down.
Perfect coverage. Inside hip. He's got his head back, shoulders turned toward the ball. Almost makes an interception. Good coverage there. Obviously, he got a talking to on the sidelines after the last defensive series.
Ferguson, who hit a 31-yarder last week, is on, and I think we will see him with a field goal try here. Yep, that'll be it. Sills to hold, and it'll be a 39-yard, right at a 40-yard field goal try into a swirling wind, John. This won't be easy. Far hash mark. Last week, the Frogs blocked one and returned it for a touchdown. A 40-yard field goal try. High snap. They get it down. Ferguson gets it up. It has a lot of distance. It's no good. It faded off wide right, and the Frogs have held and still lead the game 6-0. And listen to the ovation by the TCU fans.
Boy, this defense has got to be getting more and more and more confident. They continue to make big plays and make stands and hunker down after a long run that time by Fletcher and hold Oklahoma scoreless on a missed field goal.
They did what?
Hunker down.
Hunker down. How do you spell that?
That'd be an Hunkerd.
Hunkering down on the sidelines is in the rain is Brian Estridge.
I tell you what, on that last kick by Ferguson, faded off to the right. He's lucky he's out here playing. You remember a couple of weeks ago, he set out and missed 2 weeks of fall practice for the Oklahoma Sooners with mono. Came out last week against UNT, had a great day, and here today, this one fades to the right on him on his first attempt.
From the 22, 1st down, inside handoff, Tomlinson for nothing. As the Sooners stack it up inside for no gain on the play. Kelly Gregg, he is so big that you didn't even see poor little LaDainian Tomlinson until finally the last Sooner got up off the pile.
He's not particularly big, he's just wide.
Well, as Brian said, you're talking about a wrestling champion.
You know, 6 feet, 286. He's like, probably about the size of your refrigerator at home. About 6 feet wide, 6 feet tall.
Full refrigerator.
Smart aleck. Here comes Michael Crawford wide left on 2nd down and about 11. Again, they load up the backfield, put Huffman in motion. Deep pitch. Mitchell has running room. 25 to the 30. Mitchell, 35. Dives forward and out of bounds over Terry White for a 1st down. A gain of 14 as Basil Mitchell is approaching another 100-yard ball game. We have him 5 carries for 89 yards.
I'll tell you what, he's a talent, and he had a great sophomore year. Last year, a so-so year, still led the Frogs in rushing, but now he's in a scheme where he's going to get the ball a lot, and based on situational play changes or checkoffs at the line, he's going to get loose a lot this year.
He turned 23 this past Monday. Happy birthday, Basil Mitchell. It's 1st down at the 37-yard line. The toe option left, and he's hit, and he's in jail and dropped for a loss on the play. Dale Allen got him back at about the 32-yard line. So TCU takes 2 steps forward and then 1 step backward there. That is a loss. They'll mark it back at the 33-yard line, so that's a loss of about 4 on the play.
And as we get more and more rain here at Amon Carter Stadium, Bill, it's going to be important to keep establishing that running game, because as it gets more and more wet, it's going to be harder to throw. And the running game, whoever's going to be able to run the ball is going to take control of this ball game pretty quick.
Tavares Moore wide left, Cedric James wide right, offset eye, Tomlinson and Mitchell behind the quarterback. This time Bateau gets hit as he pitches to Mitchell, turns it up 35, spins forward to the 39-yard line, got the 4 yards back plus about 3, maybe about 2 more, called it a gain of about 6 as Terry White drops him near the 39-yard line. The Frogs will face a 3rd down, and they'll still need a good, what, John, 7.5, maybe, I call it 7 yards for the 1st down.
Yeah, it's a good 7 anyway. Good block that time, play side by Greg Davis, the big, quick guard who's from Kingsville, back off of probation. Dropped a nice block there on Darrell Bright, the left end.
2 receivers split left, shotgun on 3rd and 7 near the 40-yard line. Ladewig will snap it. Two running backs standing next to Patrick Bateau. Long count for Patrick, and he steps up and delivers up the near side, overthrows Tavares Moore at about the 49-yard line, hit hard by Mike Woods, and TCU will have to punt it with 3:06 left to go in the second quarter.
Yeah, little out pattern that time, a little bit overthrown. Tavares had two hands on it. In a dry weather condition, that catch is made, but with it being wet and drizzly, it's going to get through the hands a lot. Now here we go with Royce having to get off the shoe and back out on the field. That continues to concern the coaches. And I wonder how long they'll continue to keep Royce in a scrimmage position situation. This continues to be a bit of a problem.
He stands at his 27-yard line to punt the ball away to Jackson. The wind is at his back, and it's raining. Good snap. He gets a foot into it, and this is a boomer. It's a missile down to the 10-yard line. Jackson upfield. LeVar Veal misses him at the 15 to the outside. Curtis Fuller gets him and drags him out of bounds at the 23-yard line. That was a rocket out of there by Royce Huffman, a 51-yard punt. Almost out-punted his coverage that time, but LeVar Veal really got downfield in a hurry, but missed him, and it's a 12-yard return by Jackson, so the Sooners will have it at the 23.
Yeah, a little bit of a line drive, and boy, Jackson's fast. Curtis Fuller did a nice job getting down there and got him by the collar and yanked him out of bounds.
Curtis Fuller out of Fort Worth in Tyler Junior College for a couple of years. Junior college transfer here. Step right in, starting for the Frogs. Fletcher, the quarterback from the 23, I formation behind him. Hands off. This is the fullback, and he scoots forward to the 29, Carson Fields, who carried in an earlier series for 5 yards on the play. London Dunlap makes the tackle, 2nd and 5 with 2:40 to go. Brian, raining any harder now?
You might say that. Yeah, it's starting to pick up a little bit down here on the previous punt by Royce Huffman. You're right. LeVar Veal had a great shot at him. Didn't wrap up. Just tried to knock him down with his arms inside. If he'd have wrapped him up, they'd have stopped him at the 13-yard line.
Second down from the 28-yard line. 2nd and 5. I formation. Two-step drop. Fields in trouble, and Worthen gets him. Fletcher drops back and finds Sean Worthen, who's already made a big play tonight, make another one for the sack, and they lose 5 yards on the play.
Boy, when the Oklahoma coaches look at that videotape from this game, they're going to get all over Adam Carpenter. They're going to ask him where he got that pair of skates, because Sean Worthen just shoved him. You can see it on the replay. Just shoves him back into the backfield, tosses him aside, and makes the sack. Big play there.
Worthen, again, just a young guy, weighs 300 pounds, just a sophomore out of San Antonio. 3rd down and 11 from the shotgun. It's Fletcher again. Low snap. Here comes Dunlap. He has to step up, delivers upfield, intercepted. Joe Phipps at the 40. Phipps to the 35. Hurdles a tackler to the 30, inside the 30, and run out of bounds at the 29-yard line. The pass badly underthrown, and Joe Phipps, who picked one off last week, has his second one of the season.
Smoking Joe Phipps. He and Reggie Hunter 2 for 2 now on interceptions. Good play there, and give credit to J.W. Wilson and Sean Worthen again. They were pushing the pocket back into Fletcher's face, and they pressured him and made him throw off his back foot. Bad throw. Phipps says bingo, and he's on his way back the other way.
Frogs had what, Brian? 3 guys around that pass, too. A bunch of purple shirts there, or black shirts, I should say, around the football.
Great coverage by TCU, but you're right. The difference was made up front. Adam Carpenter, John mentioned the fact he was on skates. They must be size 18. That's his shoe size.
And from the 29, the Frogs have a chance here. Late first, second quarter, roll out. Bateau looking downfield. He'll throw the ball for Tavares Moore, who couldn't hold it at the 1-yard line with 1:29 left to play in the first half. He was there, but the ball just off his fingertips. Corey Ivy in coverage for the Sooners.
Oh, good route that time by Tavares, going right at the flag. And you got to like the call. Dennis Franchione going for the throat on the first play. And Bateau's impressive. He's putting the ball on the money. He's throwing the ball a lot better than we've seen through fall practice or last week.
And again, 4 of 11 last week. He had one drop. Today he's 2 of 8 for 17. But he's getting closer, and here is a shotgun play. 2nd down. They need to at least get a field goal out of this. Ladewig will snap it. Mitchell standing back there, and he may be changing the play. Says something to Mitchell. It's really raining. He steps up, throws, and it's in and out of the hands of Tavares Moore at the 22-yard line as he drills him along the far sideline. And again, John, you got to wonder just how much of a factor wet football is there, but Moore had that in his hands and couldn't bring it down.
Well, good coverage on the play that time, too, but it's going to get only more difficult to catch and hang on to the football as this rain continues now, kind of coming down in sheets as we see it pass through the lights. It's going to get more and more difficult as the night goes on. Third down.
It's good old Texas horizontal rain. It's blowing from the north, almost blowing horizontal as we look out of the press box. 3rd and 10. 2 receivers split left, far hash mark. And back to throw Bateau. No, quarterback draw. Patrick, they're not fooled this time to the 26. Brian, if they try a field goal here, it'll be a 44-yarder or something close to that. I don't know whether. I think Kalaki's got the leg. Question is, will they try it?
Well, I tell you what, the weather's going to play a big key in that decision. You got to believe, Bill. We've seen a couple of receivers now downfield slipping and falling down. The turf is holding up pretty well, but in this rain, you might be better off going for it. And let's see if Coach Fran's going to think about it. It looks like he's going for it.
Well, they had Kalaki standing out there for a moment, and then they pull him back.
Well, I think what you're going to see is they're going to run the clock down to about 5 seconds on the play clock and then call a timeout and think about it.
Yep.
Boy, 9-0 would look big, too. Instead of 6-0, that would put them a touchdown plus ahead, and now they will call a timeout with 38 seconds left, and we'll take it with them. Frogs lead the Sooners 6-0. We're back after this timeout.
Well, as you can see, the rain is starting to come down a little bit harder now at Amon Carter Stadium as the rain continues to come down. A lot of things come into play. The field conditions, the ability of the chain crew and the ball boys to keep the football dry. And also here with a 4th down play coming up now for Coach Franchione's ball club, a decision on whether or not to kick the football. 4th and 7 at the 26-yard line right now of Oklahoma with 38 seconds to play in the half. Do you take the chance, try to get the automatic 3, but it wouldn't be automatic in these field conditions, or do you try to get the 1st down and then go for the 6? 38 seconds to play in the half with TCU leading at 6-0. You want to get as many points as you can at this stage of the ball game against the explosive offense of the Oklahoma Sooners. So a big call here upcoming for Coach Franchione. We'll keep an eye on what happens from the field here. Let's go back up top now. Bill Coates and John Denton with a play-by-play call. A final 38 seconds, TCU leading Oklahoma 6-0 here in the first half.
Following the timeout, the Frogs bring Chris Kalaki back out to try a 44-yard field goal. A driving rain at his back along with the wind. Ball near the middle of the field. Edmondson to snap it to Dover, who has to hang on to it here. And the Frogs up 6-0. 44-yard field goal try coming. Edmondson will snap it. Dover puts it down. Kalaki puts up a line drive that has the distance, and it's good! A 44-yard field goal with 33 seconds left before intermission, and TCU has a 9-0 lead. Michael Reeder, of course, John, had a brilliant career at TCU, and one of the big questions going into the season, who replaces him? Well, they had 2 fine young kickers, Chris Kalaki and Joy Basadi. Kalaki wins the field goal job, and so far he has been A-OK tonight.
Boy, nice kick, too, and in a pressure situation, it doesn't make it any easier that the wind's blowing and it's rainy. Give credit to Dover that time, because I'll tell you what, having been a holder, I can tell you that spiraling ball is hard to hang on to, especially when it's coming out low like that. Good hold by Dover and a good line drive kick. He might have missed it way right or way left, but it wasn't going to be short. He had plenty of leg.
You bring up some great points. I mean, you held for field goals here for some pretty good kickers for 4 years and never muffed one. And there's really something. I mean, the holder is an often overlooked part of the game to everybody except the guy doing the kicking.
Yep, and the kicker, if he's got the guy that he's got confidence in holding the football, he doesn't need anything else. All he's got to do is wait out of the corner of his eye and see the snap. But, boy, big kick there, and 9-0 as the weather continues to deteriorate. Looks really good.
And Joe Phipps intercepted that pass at the 29-yard line to set it up. It was a 4-play, 3-yard drive, and TCU kicks a 44-yard field goal with 33 seconds left before intermission, and now the Sooners will take the football again.
And you start to look at the recipe we're looking at here. Strong defense.
He drives the ball drives it along the ground. It's picked up on the bounce by Oklahoma, and they're going upfield to the 45. The ball's loose. The ball is loose, and TCU may have it at the 47. The return man for Oklahoma was Reggie Skinner, a running back, who picked it up. He was about 20 yards upfield from the deep guys and caught that ground ball from Chris Kalaki. and then a big hit by the Horned Frogs at the end of that run with 26 seconds left, and they're still unpiling it. And Oklahoma obviously has the best wrestling team, John, because they have 3 times tonight recovered fumbles. Brian at the bottom of the pile, and that time they did it again. Skinner came away with it.
Yeah, Skinner, and he had a little bit of help from Oklahoma's Rodney Radeau as well, who was down on the field trying to wrestle it away from a couple of Horned Frogs there. The rain has picked up a bit, Bill. The field condition's still okay, but that ball has really gotten slippery. They've just gone in and brought in some more footballs from the locker room to try to keep them all dry.
Boy, big hit there, and a lot of hitting going on out here. And big shot there. We were trying to spot on the replay who had made that tackle. But anyway, Oklahoma with a first down.
1 for 5, Fletcher from the 48, pitch sweep going to Damon Parker, who's hit and dropped again and fumbles it. Ray Lacey, or did he knock it down? No, they say that it was not a fumble. And they blew the whistle before Parker dropped the football. Ray Lacey was in the backfield at the 44-yard line, and Lacey may be down, or at least somebody wearing a black jersey is down on the field. The Frog fans thought that was a fumble, did not get that call, but boy, did Lacey read that book and knock Damon Parker off his feet.
Well, Lacey was in the process of turning Damon Parker horizontal, and while he's up in the air, arms and legs completely off the ground, the ball falls out, so the fans aren't completely out of line questioning that call.
And again, a TCU player down. I don't know that we have the number yet. It's Andre Bruce, the cornerback. Andre Bruce, the cornerback, is prone at the 44-yard line, so let's hope he's okay along near the Oklahoma side of the field. They're helping him to his feet here, and again, Andre, a starter in that defensive backfield for TCU, and a guy they can still afford to have banged up. Damon Parker, 7 carries for 1 yard, unofficially, much like Darren Davis in the second half last week, but 7 carries for 1 yard so far in the first half for Damon Parker. Andre Bruce is up, Brian, and looks to be okay as he walks to the near side.
Yeah, he does look like he's okay. The one question mark, though, is Robert Wallace, the right guard. We'll get an update on him in just a second. He has left to go to the locker room for the final 4 seconds of the first half with an ice pack on the back of his neck. We'll try to get an update for you.
What do you call a rain when it's going like north-south and blowing across the screen?
That's vertical, isn't it?
I think that's a vertical rain, or is it horizontal?
That's horizontal.
Horizontal. That's the end of the first half. They start the clock back up, and fellas, not a bad first half for the Horned Frogs. Brian, they probably are all smiles as they head to the locker room.
No question, they're all smiles. We'll try to get an update on some of the injury situation as well. But if you look at this first half, the offense at times powerful and explosive, sputtered a little bit in the red zone, defensively pitching a shutout. What else could you ask for?
All right, so we've reached intermission here in the home opener at Amon Carter Stadium. TCU leading Oklahoma 9-0.
It's a thin line between newborn and stillborn, full term and premature, between healthy and sick. If you're pregnant or think you are, getting prenatal care early is the most important step you can take. Don't put your baby's health on the line. Take care of yourself so you can take care of your baby. Find out now about getting prenatal care. Call 1-800-311-2229.
Your parents are always bugging you to get out of the house and get some exercise. But you've got your own way of doing things. You're your own person. You don't need to follow the crowd or the rules. And the last people you want to be like are your parents.
Johnny, tell them what they want.
This is Community Cable Television, tuned in to Fort Worth.
Trying to go 2-0 on this young season. Bill Coates, John Denton, Brian Estridge, our producer-engineer Ron Pell, statistician Greg Marks, and Wayne Gossard, our spotter, here at Amon Carter Stadium. It's halftime with the third quarter about to start, and TCU leading by a score of 9-0. They won at Iowa State last week and are trying to go 2-0 on the season for the first time since, well, I'm looking all the way back, I guess, to 1991, the last time the Horned Frogs started off the season at 2-0, and they're 30 minutes away from doing that.
Pretty good team that year. Had a lot of injuries. 91 Whackers last year here. They went 7-4, played 4 different quarterbacks and 10 different offensive linemen that season.
And didn't go to a bowl game on a 7-4.
Did not. Beat Houston the last game of the season. Stephen Shipley went up on a long alley-oop play as the game ended and won the game.
Well, the Frogs would love to start off 2-0 tonight. Oklahoma won't go down easily, though. They're a proud team with a proud tradition that has fallen on at least moderately hard times in recent years. They've had back-to-back losing seasons for the first time since the 1920s. 4-8 a year ago, 3-8 in John Blake's first year. He's the second youngest coach in college football at 32 years of age. And of course, Dennis Franchione in his second game as the Horned Frog coach, first at home, and a 9-0 shutout lead as Chris Kalaki prepares to kick it off. Damon Parker and Michael Thornton are back deep for the Sooners. They will have the football first. They're in their road white uniforms with the crimson helmets. TCU purple pants and helmets, black jerseys. Kickoff will take Parker 3 yards deep, and he'll run it out. 10, upfield 15. He's hit at the 15, falls forward to the 20, and out near the 22-yard line where the Sooners will start first down and 10. Cedric James downfield along with London Dunlap on the play. And so Oklahoma will start first down and 10. Brandon Daniels has a bruised shoulder. He was the scheduled starting quarterback, and he would be playing tonight were it not for that bruised shoulder. But instead, sophomore walk-on Patrick Fletcher continues to be the Oklahoma quarterback. He struggled some in the first half, did have a long run from scrimmage, and they open in a stack eye against the TCU 4-2-5 defensive look here. And on first down, the handoff to the deep back. Parker, and J.W. Wilson knocks him down for a 1-yard gain. Parker had big problems in the first half, and that time J.W. Wilson, the junior out of Fort Worth Trinity Valley, makes the play, second down 9.
Well, they come out in a 2 tight just like they did in the first half, Bill, and they run the power there, just jam it straight ahead, and J.W. on a slant there gets in and hog ties him right at the line of scrimmage. They give him a gain of 1.
You know, we talked about the wishbone. Really, Oklahoma hasn't used the old traditional wishbone yet tonight. Now, they line up in a 3 running back set, but they stack them back to back to back again on second and 9. Handoff inside. This time it is Bayless, Johnny Bayless for 2 more, and that's all. And J.W. Wilson again, and then a penalty flag flies.
I think you're going to see a personal foul against the tight end for Oklahoma.
Jason Freeman, the tight end.
Yakking it up back there with Andre Bruce.
And that would really hurt Oklahoma. And that is indeed going to be a personal foul against Oklahoma. And, John, you got to wonder what they're thinking. They had it second and 9 at the 24, and now they're going to have it second and, way back inside the 20-yard line, inside the 15 following this penalty.
Let's get the official's call here. Well, that's big early in the second half.
Yep, that will be personal foul, and that will mark the ball all the way back to what, about the 12.5-yard line, near the 13, and make it second down and a bunch.
Boy, you know, you go in at the half, you want to make adjustments, you want to come out fresh and try some of your adjustments and get a good start to the second half, and this is not the way to do it right here.
7 penalties, 45 yards for the Sooners. Second down, and make that third down. Second down, 19. Back near the 13-yard line. Stack eye again. Wide splits by the defensive line, and the handoff. This is Reggie Skinner. He gets out of trouble in the backfield and falls forward to the 22. Gets back to the original line of scrimmage, and another penalty flag down. This time the hanky is at about the 9-yard line.
Came out of the backfield. The referee threw it. Got a face mask penalty.
So that will be against TCU. Now again, the Sooners got it back, but they will got the yardage back that they lost on the last penalty, but they will save the down here and take the face mask plus a 15-yard walk-off to boot. So now instead of second and 19, they get all of that back plus 4 more. And make it second down, and we're looking at about a 6-yard need here for the Sooners at the 26-yard line. They need to get to the 32. Shotgun for Fletcher, 2 receivers at left. Parker in the backfield. Let's see. TCU will rush 4. Fletcher throws near side. It's caught by Jackson. Jackson upfield in traffic. First down at the 34. That's a little slant pass to Jackson, who turns inside before Cam Hunt, the defensive end, brings him down, and the Sooners have a first down, and their fans respond to it.
Well, they take Jackson, the flanker, and actually split him out way wide. He's the split in on that play. They run the little flanker screen like we've seen out of the run and shoot a la Houston Cougars.
And it works for them, and so instead of having that 2nd and 19 after the penalty, they have a first down at their own 34-yard line. Again, wide splits by the TCU defensive line, which includes Doug Shanks at inside handoff. Skinner hit by J.W. Wilson and dropped for no gain again. Wilson has dominated this series so far. Three big tackles.
3 tackles this series and a big play there, and they run that little sprint draw there that's kind of a look away.
They give it to the back going through and then try to decoy like they're running the option to the near side. JW sniffs it out. You've got about 2nd and 10.
A junior out of Claremore, Oklahoma, Reggie Skinner, who played 8-man football, got hit by about 3 men that time. 2nd down and about 9.5 near the 34-yard line. They send Bayless in motion and fumble the ball, and Fletcher falls on it, loses 2.5 back to the 31-yard line. Boy, that went haywire in a hurry, and they're lucky they didn't lose it. And TCU will make a bunch of substitutions here. It'll be 3rd and long for the Sooners.
Yeah, and Aaron Schobel right there. If Fletcher doesn't get on that ball quick, it's TCU's ball. Boy, now, this half is starting slow for Oklahoma.
Well, they again have got a penalty that helped them out, and then a pass play to Jackson for a first down, but they're 0 of 7 on 3rd down conversions, and they face a 3rd and 13 here at their own 31-yard line. Out of the shotgun again, 3 receivers split to the right, including the tight end Freeman. And they run the option. Deep pitch to DeMond Parker. Big roll. 35 outside near the 39. But he didn't get the first down because Greg Walls and Reggie Hunt were in the way. And again, that started out like DeMond Parker, John, was going to have a lot more running room than he did. But the pursuit caught him, and the Sooners will be forced to punt.
Yeah, run that quick pitch off the option to the short side. It did look like, kind of looked like a play TCU ran against Iowa State last week with that deep pitch, but it went nowhere. Good open field tackle there by Walls.
And Ferguson back at the 25-yard line. We'll get Brian Estridge back with us here in just a moment as Ferguson punts again into the wind. Frogs will try to set up a return on a spinner to Huffman at the 24. Back up field, cuts right, now left, now back right, and runs into a wall at the 28-yard line. Knocked down by Terry White. The Frogs will start first down after a 38-yard punt and a 5-yard return. Brian, it's stopped raining for the moment, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. The weather conditions have cleared up a bit here at Amon Carter Stadium. You know, one of the things you and John have talked about on several occasions has been the play of J.W. Wilson. J-Dub, as his players call him, as his teammates call him. He increased his bench and his squat total by 135 pounds in the offseason, paying off here early on.
Yeah, making a big contribution last week and now again this week. And now the Frogs run the eye. 2 receivers split right, near hash mark, moving left to right from the 28-yard line with Bateau under center. Bateau hands off Tomlinson through a gap, squirts forward, hard to tackle. He has 8 yards to the 37 for TCU before Terry White brings him down.
Boy, and he was just a half a step away from breaking that. Good surge that time by the offensive line. And again, you've got a tasty little snack here for Dan Dodd. He's got 2nd and 2.
2nd down with 10:50 and counting here in the 3rd quarter. A 9-0 TCU lead. They want more. Tavares Moore wide to the left side. High formation, double tight end on a 2nd down and 2 near the 37-yard line. Tomlinson and Mitchell behind Bateau, who hands off to Basil, and Kelly Gregg is there to meet him in the backfield, and they'll face a 3rd down and 2 as Mitchell gets nothing out of that play. And the big all-conference former wrestler from Edmond, Oklahoma, Brian, made a heck of a play.
You're right, Bill. He made a great play. Then he turned to the Oklahoma crowd, gave him the old Incredible Hulk signal, if you would. Trailing 9-0. I'm not so sure if that's good timing or not.
John, they're 1 for 8 on 3rd downs. They have a big one here.
And this is a good situation to get it. 3rd and 2. Not a long way to go.
Cedric James wide left, wide right Moore. I formation on 3rd and 2. Handoff, Bateau, pitch sweep going left. Mitchell should have room. No, what a play by Terry White, who caught him. I thought for a moment Mitchell had the play easily, and then White was not faked out at all and did a nice job to string it out. Now, Mitchell still may have the needed yardage for the first down, and there's a penalty flag down, and it may be against the Sooners. Brian, what do you see down there?
I tell you what happened is Kelly Gregg, we talked about him. He leveled Patrick Bateau after he pitched the football. That's going to bring him a personal foul here.
Wow. Is that a big break or not? The Sooner fans don't like it. Mitchell, I think, would have had the first down anyway. Barely enough, even though White made an outstanding play. But who cares? They're going to walk off 15 and take it across midfield.
Well, what happened on the play was it was going away from Gregg. As Gregg pursued the play, Bateau just happened to be in his way. He leveled him as he went by. He didn't come into him as the pitch was made. So they called the penalty, and Frogs have got a new tank of gas at the OU 46.
And here we go. B.J. Roberts is in there. He became only the third player, true freshman in history, to start last week at tight end, and he's in there now. Out of Burke Burnett, double tight end. One running back and two receivers at the Oklahoma 46-yard line in the third quarter. Bateau, play action fake. He's looking downfield, now tucks it and is hit and dropped at midfield and loses yardage. Sometimes, as Ryan Fisher makes the tackle, we talked about this last week, John, Patrick may be a little too quick to tuck it and run. That time, perhaps he would have been well advised to hang in there and to see what was available downfield, but he never gave himself a chance.
Yeah, he dropped back in the pocket, starts to get happy feet. Just the minute he starts to feel a little bit of pressure and tries to run out of there and gets hogtied by Ryan Fisher.
Second down 14, and the ball is at midfield. And again, TCU has done well kicking 3 field goals, but they really need to get 7 there. That would be huge with 8:45 to go. Second and 14 at the 50, offset eye. And a double tight end with one receiver more in motion. Bateau back to throw again. Here comes the blitz. He's flushed out of the pocket, throws downfield looking for Ilian and overthrows him at the 20-yard line. Brian, he had a guy wide open on the other side of the field, didn't he?
LaDainian Tomlinson was actually wide open in the flat right in front of him, right in front of the TCU bench. Had enough for the first down. Patrick never saw him, tried to go to the tight end Ilian, as you mentioned, for all the marbles and couldn't get it to him.
So with 8.5 left, John, they face a third down and 14. And it looks like they're sending in the reserves here to try to make something happen through the air.
Well, they're going to load up. They got Cedric Stevens and Mike Scarborough, and they got Royce Huffman in the game, too. They go into a 3-4 wide receiver set now.
And out of the shotgun, Bateau on 3rd and 14 from the 50. Ladewig will center. Mitchell is standing back there beside him. 2 receivers split each way. And he drops back, and now he wants to run with it, and he will be hit and loses 2 more. Ryan Fisher caught him again with a lot of help from his friends, but the Frog passing game hasn't been anything to write home about so far tonight. Only 2 completions for Patrick Bateau on the evening, and that time the Frogs, after getting that penalty across midfield to the 46, wind up going backwards 6 yards, and they'll have to punt.
Yeah, that drive stalls out, and they try to decoy, going to 4 wideouts and try to open it up a little bit and give him room on the quarterback draw, but there's nothing there. And Frogs have got to continue to improve. You've got to get that air game going, because you're going to get into situations where you've got 3rd and 17, and you've got to be able to throw the football.
Jackson at the 10, Huffman, shoe off at the 35 to punt it away again. Good snap. Sooners will try to set up a return, and Huffman launches another one. This one will bounce out of bounds inside the 10 as they mark it upfield right at the 10-yard line. Let's pause 15 seconds for station identification along the TCU Sports Network.
This is Community Cable Television, tuned in to Fort Worth.
It's an ID.
That was a 42-yard punt, and again, one of those nose-down jobs that hit out of bounds at the 10. Sooners are 90 yards away. Stackeye again on first down from the 10, and the new quarterback in the ball game as they hand off to Parker for 4 is Jared Reese. Reese is the new quarterback, a redshirt freshman out of Seminole, Oklahoma. Brandon Daniels, John, was supposed to be the starter, out with a bruised shoulder, and the Sooners are on their second quarterback late in the third quarter.
Yeah, that tells you something there. Fletcher, had done a pretty good job, but they may want to change things up a little bit, get Reese in the game. Daniels, with that shoulder sprain he suffered last week, still not ready to play, and Fletcher may have a little bit of a turned ankle. He was limping late in the first half.
Gerard Reese, the quarterback from the 14, second down and 6. Handoff inside. This will be the fullback, Carson Fields, who moves the ball out near the 18, maybe the 19-yard line. Schobel knocks him down. And he'll be about a yard shy of the first down. It'll be third down, and I'm showing, well, they'll mark it, I think, near the 18. So call it 3rd and 2 here for the Sooners.
Yeah, Oklahoma now look like they're trying to start the second half over again, going back to their power game. They want to try to ground it out. They've got some big offensive linemen.
Third down. The Frogs would love to stop them here. Back to back to back behind the quarterback, Reese. Frogs put 8 men in the box, and Schobel may have jumped off sides as they run the option and hand off to Fields. And he would have had a first down, but there was a penalty flag down, and I'm not so sure that Aaron Schobel was he drawn offside? Here comes the call. It'll be illegal motion against the Sooners, and Schobel, the heady sophomore, yeah, he was in the neutral zone because he was pushed that way.
Yeah, if TCU had been offside, they would have run the play if he had not made contact.
Good point.
Would they call it dead because of the movement along the offensive line?
John, that changes everything. Instead of 3rd and 2, it's now 3rd down and 7.
Well, that's a huge little scene setter there.
And so the Sooners now may be in a passing mode as Reese, who didn't throw it all last week, will stand in the shotgun at his own 8-yard line, and a low snap. He'll pick it up and run it upfield, and he has room to the outside. Look out, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Beal knocks him out of bounds at the 40-yard line. That was a totally blown play that he made into a long gain of 47 yards in an Oklahoma first down.
Yeah, took it right up the middle, saw the gap, and Reese is a big guy. He's 6'3", 200 pounds, and he can run. Took the low snap and just took off running and didn't stop till he got to the TCU 40.
Right, neither one of these quarterbacks, Bateau or Reese, they really don't want to throw the ball, it doesn't appear. They like running it, don't they?
No doubt about that, Bill. One thing that you saw, Reese, who didn't play last week, he didn't play because he was suspended for that ball game. He looks like he's hungry for this one.
Oklahoma's High School Player of the Year. First down at the TCU 40-yard line. Again, the stack guy. The Frogs blitz. They'll hand off to Parker coming this way. Frogs string it out to Parker, turns the corner, and then slides at the 35 with Cam Hunt about to take his head off, and Curtis Fuller there to help out.
Good pursuit. Parker is bread and butter. He loves to get outside and then cut back against the grain, and he just can't do it because, number one, TCU's stringing out the play. Number two, he can't set a foot and keep it to cut back. It's too slippery.
Call it a 5-yard gain. They'll mark him down on his backside near the 35.5, so it'll be 2nd down and 5 with 5:20 left to play here in the third quarter. Jackson wide right. Reese is the new quarterback. I formation behind him, double tight ends. On 2nd down, and the handoff, right tackle Parker hitting the hole and dropped by Cody Slinkard at that time. As TCU's Cody Slinkard in as a strong safety, helps make the tackle about 2 yards shy of the first down. And so the Sooners will face another big 3rd down play here with under 5 minutes to go in the quarter.
And a big play for the defense here. If they could stop them and force them to try a field goal back into a bit of a breeze. It's not as heavy as it was earlier in the game, but now you've got the rain starting again.
3rd down, Matt Anderson and Jason Freeman in double tight end set, 3rd and 3 at the Frog 33-yard line. Near hash mark and movement along the Oklahoma front line again. The Frogs pointing at the Sooners and the flags fly. And it looks like the Sooners have jumped again, John, which would make it a 3rd down and 8.
Jason Bronson, the right guard.
We're not getting the ref microphone here. I don't think he's got it turned on, but that's exactly what it was. It was illegal motion, and so that is their 10th penalty, John, 70 yards.
I'll tell you what, that's a lot of penalties for a football team, the second game of the season. Normally you'd see this first game, but boy, that's quite a few tonight. A lot of jumping along the offensive line.
Jackson split wide to the right side along with Eric Moore, former quarterback here on 3rd down and 8 from the shotgun. Watch out, Reese and Parker can both run. Reese fumbles the snap and falls on it, this time back at the 42 and out of field goal range. He never had possession of the wet football, and while he's not rusty as a runner, John, as a passer, he's real rusty right now, and that time he didn't have a chance to pick it up and run with it.
Well, you bring in your new quarterback, you get a change in cadence. That's going to mess up your offensive line. That happened there. and he hasn't been taking a whole lot of snaps in a game situation. He's in the shotgun there. They're just out of sync, and now OU's got to punt it away.
And it'll be Ferguson again for the umpteenth time tonight, back at his own 45-yard line. Again, into the wind, into the rain, which has started again, by the way. Huffman at his own 10-yard line. Pretty good snap. Here come the Frogs, but they will let him kick it away, and Huffman will let it bounce, and this ball will be down at the 1-yard line. Man, whoa, what a play by Corey Ivy. He was tracking that ball to 40-yard punt, John, and he makes a sliding stop at the 1-yard line, and the Frogs will start from there.
Well, he barely gets there, but a great play. And that's the second one that they've downed inside the 10-yard line tonight. The one punt that they had earlier was down or out of bounds, took a left turn at the 5-yard line following a delay of game penalty. Field position plays a big part in the game, especially late in the game now as we're inside 4 minutes left in the third quarter.
Well, the Horned Frogs will go double tight in here, and they'll have to be careful. They've been pretty careful with the ball tonight. They're at their own 1-yard line. I formation. Oklahoma puts, 9 men in the box here, expecting the run. That's what they get, and Tomlinson gets the handoff and barely gets out of the end zone, back to the line of scrimmage where Michael Dunlaney brings him down. Second down 10.
Well, I'll tell you what, he barely got out of the end zone. You're right, he got hit at the goal line and kept his legs pumping just to get out to about maybe the line of scrimmage, the original line of scrimmage.
3 minutes left to go in the third. And again, the rain has picked back up, and the umbrellas and slickers are out here at Amon Carter. Frogs have it at the 1-yard line. They bring Royce Huffman in as a wing back and put him in motion. And the fake, Bateau wants to throw out of the end zone and dumps it upfield short of Cedric James. That's a pretty gutsy call, though, considering the lack of success they've had throwing the ball. But they figure, John, I suppose, that maybe they can pull one out of the hat and at least get out of the shadow of the goalpost.
Well, you've got to keep throwing it to a certain extent just to loosen up the defense. I'm not sure you want to be throwing a lot out of your own end zone with a 5-step drop like that, but Frogs have got a big decision to make here. If they could just get one first down and give themselves some breathing room, that would help a whole lot.
That was a huge play by Ivy to down that ball at the 1. Man, second, make that third down and about 10. Huffman in the backfield in motion. Tomlinson and Mitchell behind him. Handoff to Ladanian for 2 to the 3. And Huffman will have to punt from the back of the end zone as Frank Romero, who is now in the ball game, makes the tackle. We called his name and number earlier, but it was Jeremy Wilson Guest who was in there, and Romero was there to make the tackle, and so Huffman will stand at the dead back of the end zone to try to punt the ball out.
Yeah, he'll have his heels just inside the end line, and the thing you got to do here as a punt team is you've got to take an extra second, make sure, tighten up and protect, plus you've got a wet ball to deal with. You got to be really careful here.
Brian Edmondson is the snapper, and you've got 3 Oklahoma return men downfield. Good snap. They'll let him kick it away, and it's off the side of his foot. Bad punt. It'll hit at the 30 and roll upfield and will be caught by the Sooners there as fielding it on a bounce was Oklahoma's Rodney Rideau. Kind of a dangerous move near the 40-yard line. That turned out to be a halfway decent punt, a 37-yarder. And considering how ugly it looked when it came out of there, it took a bounce, Brian Estridge, and did go upfield for the Frogs.
We did get a break there. You know, we heard John Denton on the plane ride back from Iowa State mention that the one thing that Royce has got to do is he's got to take a practice swing, does the punter Royce Huffman. He hadn't done it here tonight. It may be helpful, John.
At the 40, Oklahoma's Gerard Reese, the quarterback, stack eye behind him, and somebody jumped. Fields, the fullback, I saw him do it about a half a count too soon, and that's the 11th penalty against Oklahoma. It'll take him back to the 45-yard line.
Well, I'll tell you what, with all these motion penalties, they may be going back to the wishbone. We haven't seen a lot of it tonight, but a 3-back set.
Start of the snap, false start, offense, still first down.
That's Claire Gausman. He's talked so much tonight, he may have laryngitis before the evening.
He's talked almost as much as you have. But you go back to Oklahoma going back to the ground game 3-back set or whatnot. I mean, the last 10 minutes, this has looked like this is a whole new offensive set for this team.
Leroy, how'd he do?
And so that'll make it 1st and 15. 9-0. The Frogs lead the Sooners. Chris Kalaki has 3 field goals, all in the first half. 1:45 left to go in the scoreless third quarter. 9-0 Frogs. Stack guy, Reese to throw. He lobs the ball out to Jarrell Jackson. He makes the catch and drags a tackler inside the 30 down to the 26. That's a first down. Barry Browning makes the tackle after a 19-yard gain, and that's a pretty good-looking play. That's Reese's first completion.
Yeah, they get it where they've got Browning positioned outside, and he runs a little slant just inside of him, and boom, he gets into the seam there, and nice little pickup where the defense has got to stiffen right here.
At the 27, a minute and a half left to go in the third, and the Sooners have it at TCU's 27. Far side to short side, moving right to left. Handoff, Parker, cut back. Fitz gets him around the ankle at the 24, near the 23-yard line after a gain of 4.5 for Damon Parker. So make it second down and about 6. Next snap will come with under a minute to go in the third quarter. On a night when, while not quite capacity, I'd say a crowd, John, in the high 30s here at Amon Carter tonight at least.
Yeah, at least they sold quite a few tickets late week in walk-ups. They were expecting somewhere around 41,000, but...
And may have that paid. 38,592, we're told now. And a pitch on second down to Parker. Parker in trouble and tracked down and thrown down by J.W. Wilson. Again, though, not just J.W.'s play there. He got credit for the tackle, but, John, they had it strung out well, and with 30 seconds left in the third, Sooners face another third and long.
Sure, and a big play there, a loss of 2 by Parker on that run, and, you know, the defense doing a good job stringing it out, but they've got to watch the quick pass. Obviously, we've seen that Reese can throw the ball now a little bit. I think you're going to see the offense is taking a little, a few more chances here late in the game trying to bust a big play.
It's third and about 7 with 6 seconds left to go before the end of the third quarter. Reese to throw. Reese sets himself, lobs one downfield off the fingertips of Jackson on the slant at the 12 with 1 second to go. Andre Bruce in coverage, and now another penalty down, and this may be another personal foul against the Sooners.
I think that's what you're looking at on Jackson, doing a lot of talking after the play. I think he wanted an interference call. That's the same play they ran 3 plays ago when they completed the pass on Barry Browning. Let's see what the call is.
Slapped him in the helmet.
Wow. It's personal foul against the Sooners. Brian, what are they thinking about?
Well, I tell you what happened. I'm not so sure that was intentional, or it was intentional, but not in a negative way. As Jackson and the linebacker Joseph Phipps were talking downfield, they were just kind of jawing back and forth. Jackson gave him a slap to the helmet, almost to say good job, but nonetheless it gets whistled for the flag.
Personal foul on the offense, 15 yards, 4th down.
And that takes them out of field goal range.
Sure does. Boy, I'll tell you, you're going to build a program back. You got to have discipline, and we have not seen it tonight. Not to knock on OU or their program, but if they're going to get out of the 3-8, 4-8, 4-7 doldrums, they're going to have to clean it up on especially where the execution and the dead ball fouls are concerned.
Final play of the third quarter, it would appear, with 1 second left. Fletcher, who has knocked he stands at his own 46-yard line with Huffman waiting down there. Long count. See if they're trying to draw the Frogs off sides. TCU biting none of that right now, and it looks like they're going to let the play clock run down. They will. And they'll take another 5-yard penalty. And they will mark the ball back at the 45. Stay with us for the TCU wrap-up show following tonight's broadcast. We'll highlight today's Joe T. Garcia's assistant coach of the game. And Joe T.
ball, delay on the offense, 5 yards, still 4th down.
Joe Tees will single out the position coach whose players provided Horned Frog fans with exciting play, and the assistant coach of the game will get dinner for 2 from Joe T. Garcia's, a tradition for great Mexican food in Fort Worth since 1935. Here is Ferguson with 1 second left. He's back at his own 41-yard line, and a 45-yard punt now to look at if he's going to down it at the 1-yard line like he did the last time. He has shown us something so far this evening. Good snap. The Frogs will not try to block it. And here's a bad punt off the side of his foot, the first one that he's had tonight. And we have reached the end of the third quarter, and TCU will have pretty good field position as we start the fourth. We've played 3 quarters in Fort Worth, and the Frogs lead the Oklahoma Sooners 9-0. Back for the final period after this timeout.
Back here on the sidelines, if you take a look at the ballgame at this point, as you see the scoreboard behind me, 9-0 TCU in the lead as we head to the fourth quarter of play. Now, we've heard Coach Brand talk all year long about conditioning and getting his team ready for fourth quarter action. That's where the TCU Horned Frogs faltered often last year in a 1-10 season. Now they've made a commitment in the offseason as far as strength and conditioning is concerned. We'll see if it pays off here in the fourth quarter against Big 12 Oklahoma. Last week against Iowa State, it did, as we saw the Cyclones of Iowa State. They had problems in the fourth quarter. They had leg cramps. They were tired. Injuries hit them as well. TCU, on the other hand, was fresh, substituting often, especially on the defensive line. Now, as we head to the fourth quarter in this one, let's see if it pays off again. Another Big 12 opponent. Oklahoma's in town. Don't have to worry about the heat with the rain coming down, but we will keep an eye on the conditioning of the TCU Horned Frogs as they get ready for the fourth quarter. Back upstairs to Bill and John.
Brian Estridge, John Denton, and our crew here at Amon Carter as we get ready for the fourth. 9-0. The Frogs, with 3 Chris Kalaki field goals, lead the Oklahoma Sooners following an 18-yard punt by Jeff Ferguson. TCU will own the football, first down and 10 at its own 26-yard line. John, so far, the Frogs defensively, particularly on defense tonight, have made the plays. They've been a little bit, but they have stepped up and done a whale of a job.
Well, they've done a real good job. In the third quarter, they got a lot of help from OU because OU continued to self-destruct with penalties. They had 3 personal fouls in the third quarter alone. One of those, a drive-killing penalty about halfway through the quarter.
The Frogs defensively, particularly on defense tonight, have made the plays. They've been a little bit, but they have stepped up and done a whale of a job.
Well, they've done a real good job. In the third quarter, they got a lot of help from OU because OU continued to self-destruct with penalties. They had 3 personal fouls in the third quarter alone. One of those, a drive-killing penalty about halfway through the quarter, and then another one on Kelly Gregg on a roughing call on Pat Bateau. So they got all kinds of help out of OU in the fourth quarter, and now we're down to the last 15 minutes.
Basil Mitchell, 8 carries, 97 yards unofficially. Bateau has 12 carries for 27, 2 of 11 passing for 17. The rushing numbers are good, not great. The passing numbers not good at all, but the Frogs have taken care of the football, and they have built a 9-0 lead that they will try to nurse to their second victory of the year. From the 26, I formation, Bateau option pitch. Here's Mitchell. He's at the 26, out to the 30-yard line as he manages to fall forward despite being hit twice, including Kelly Gregg, who finally makes the tackle near the out-of-bounds stripe. He should be at 100 yards now, which for the second week in a row would be a milestone for Basil Mitchell, the senior out of Mount Pleasant, Texas. 5'11", 192. It'll be a 3-yard gain, 2nd and 7.
And that's a good run. A little speed option to the short side. They pitch it to him, and he just dances and pumps his legs down the sideline to get the 3 yards.
Keithley, Milliken, Ladwig, Wallace, and Sanders, the starters, and they've had a lot of help from others tonight. And here on 2nd and 7, it's Bateau, and he is flushed and dropped by Delaney, who came in as a blitzing linebacker that time, sort of a delayed blitz, as he saw Bateau taking the option, and Patrick lights out that time back at the 28. He loses. And maybe regain the original line of scrimmage. No, he loses a yard on that play.
Well, Delaney reads the play, shoots through the gap, and just falls on him like a piano. That play wasn't going anywhere, Bill.
Yeah, that did. It kind of looked like one of those old cartoon shows where the piano falls on the guy.
Straight out of the sky.
Bong! And that's about what you got. 3rd and 9. They're 2 of 11 on 3rd down, back at the 28. Oklahoma uses the 46 look here, and from the shotgun, Bateau steps up and loses the handle on the ball. He loses the handle. He's still on his feet, though, and falls down at the 23. Just better hang on to it there. Demario Solomon is the Oklahoma Sooner who made the play after a loss of about 6 more. And, well, that's at least not an incomplete pass because he never had a chance to throw the ball. and the Frogs will have to ask their defense to do it again. Oklahoma does have the wind at their back. You would at least like, John, for them to burn some clock. If they're not going to be able to get touchdowns, at least make a couple of first downs and kill some of this clock here with 13 minutes left.
And the tough thing about that play on third down, they had a play set up to succeed, and he starts to try to throw the ball, and the ball just hangs on him, and he can't get a hold of it.
Here is Huffman. They'll go for the block. Royce gets it away. Into the wind, a line drive kick. Jackson will take it on the run at the 40, 45 midfield, out of bounds at the TCU 45-yard line. Cliff. There's a flag down, and this may be yet another penalty on the Sooners, which would be about, 150 on the night for the Oklahoma play. If indeed this is against Oklahoma, Jackson took that on the dead run, and this is good field position pending the penalty flag. 39-yard punt, 16-yard return.
Well, you get a big personal foul or see what they're going to call here. Looked like he was going to call illegal use of hands.
Oh, that's exactly what it's going to be. And it's against Oklahoma.
Surprise, surprise.
Brian, you got to wonder if the Sooners are getting frustrated. Let's get the call, and we'll get your comments here. Here's the referee.
Holding on the return team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
Got to be frustrating for the Sooners.
Well, there's no question about it. And you take a look at this head coach, John Blake, at OU. He's a former standout defensive lineman at OU. Some have questioned his ability to get this team organized for a football game. He's 8-16 in his third year. Earlier in the year, he said, "I've always believed in option football." He also said he believed in a multiple passing attack when he was hired off the Cowboys staff. Some question his ability to make up his mind offensively. We'll see what happens on this drive.
13 penalties for 100 yards for the Sooners. They have it at their own 46-yard line with Reese, the quarterback. I formation behind him. They fake the handoff. Reese rolls out. He can run. He delivers downfield and way overthrows the intended receiver. That time, who slipped down, Gerald Williams was the intended receiver on the play, and he overthrows him at the 45-yard line.
Yeah, Williams over there working on Kendrick Patterson. Williams is trying to make a cut. He falls down running his route and then gets overthrown.
John all choked up about that.
Easy for you to say.
Kendrick Patterson is in at a cornerback. Cody Slinkard is in there. A lot of changes defensively for TCU to keep fresh people on there. As Stuart Ashley and Kyle Williams play inside at 2nd and 10. Reese runs the option hit as he pitches it back to DeMont Parker, and Fuller's there to meet him, and he is leveled all the way back at the 35-yard line for a loss of 7. Curtis Fuller and his friends converge on DeMont Parker, who still is struggling tonight. 16 carries, 19 yards for Parker.
Well, they converge on the quarterback that time. 2 guys hit him. He thinks, all right, I pitch. I've got a big play coming. And Curtis Fuller is all over DeMont Parker.
12 minutes left, 3rd and 16 from their own 40-yard line, and they run the shotgun again. Reese, the young quarterback, will run the quarterback keeper, and he'll take it 45 across midfield, runs into his own guy, but has the first down at the 44-yard line. He's already done that once tonight. Fellas, you got to watch that. Reggie Hunt finally brings him down, and if he doesn't, Reese is still running.
Boy, and there's a crease right in the middle of the field, almost between the hash marks, and he just finds a running lane and zips straight up the field and barely gets that first down. This turned into a game of quarterback draw.
Yeah, 3 carries, 60 yards for Reese. Okay, we know the guy can run. And obviously the Frogs do too, but that time they went with what looked like the play was going to be, and Reese fools them for the first down. No, it's 4th down and short. Is that what it is here? It's 4th and less than a yard. Here's Parker, and he runs it inside the 40. Now the marker, the down marker over there said 4th down. The scoreboard said 1st and 10. It was indeed 1st and 10. The chain gang not paying attention, Brian, and it was a first down by inches, and now it's a 2nd down after a 5-yard gain.
Well, the guy with the marker is a Frog fan.
So optimistic.
He's keeping it on 4 as long as he could.
Brian?
You know, you take a look at this ball game heading down the stretch. You got to give Oklahoma some credit for at least sticking with his second quarterback. The pitch on the previous play, when you saw the running back hit behind the line of scrimmage, that wasn't the back's fault. That was the quarterback's fault. Then he makes a big play on the next
2nd and 6 at the 39. Reese to throw. He delivers downfield, and it's intercepted. Joe Phipps again at the 30. Phipps to the 35-yard line. He took it away from tight end Jason Freeman and has his third interception of the year and his second tonight.
Boy, Joe Phipps, Reggie Hunt, Shannon Brazil, Russell Gary, now Barry Browning, all those guys, the safeties and the linebackers, those are people Gary Patterson wants to be able to run and move well. Phipps goes right back in coverage and picks it right off. Good coverage on the backside there by Walls, Greg Walls also. But boy, Phipps sticks a wrench in the works there for Oklahoma, and the Frogs are at their own 35.
Reese very tentative with his throw that time. And here is Bateau at the 35-yard line. They go double tight end, and the handoff on the draw to Mitchell. Greg there to meet him in the hole for no gain. So now we've got a game of keep away going at the moment. 10:41 left, and it's almost like these two teams now are trying not to make mistakes. The Horned Frogs are waiting perhaps for something, for maybe one play to ice this football game, and maybe that play will come now.
I'll tell you what, you're one play away, or if they can put together a drive of 4 or 5 minutes, just grind it out. They need to get a score, though. Another score here is huge.
Even a field goal would help.
Right.
That'd make it 12-zip. It's 2nd down and 10, though, at the 34-yard line. In motion, Tavares Moore, I formation. Bateau option, deep pitch. Here's Mitchell. They string Mitchell out. Mitchell's in big trouble, and he goes nowhere. He is knocked out at the 33 by Terry White. So Basil Mitchell had 100. What's he at now? Back to 98. He had 100 yards, and he loses 2 there, so he's at 98 yards rushing.
Yeah, moves it backwards a little bit. Oklahoma spreading that defensive line out, and they're going to dare TCU to either run it up the gut or start throwing it. And they know that TCU's having trouble throwing the football, so they're going to continue to string out that option. They don't want to let Basil get outside, and it's even tougher now to get outside and turn the corner because it's so wet out.
3rd and 12. The Frogs are 2 of 12 in this situation tonight. From the shotgun, Bateau again. He has only 2 completions tonight, and he will run the quarterback keeper again up the middle. He gets yardage, but not nearly enough. Out to the 39-yard line. I mean, even I can see it up here. They're not trying to throw the ball right now. Gannon Joseph makes the tackle.
Well, they're trying to get the same thing to happen to them that OU has had happen with Reese, where you spread the field out with 4 wide receivers, see if you can get a gap and run for it. And that's what it's turning into. This is turning into an old-time football game right here, keep it on the ground.
But if they could just make a couple of first downs and at least eat 3 or 4 minutes off the clock before they punt. But right now it's 3 and out, 3 and out. And it was 3 and out there. And here's Royce Huffman to punt the ball at the 24-yard line. Again, he is punting into the wind. Oklahoma goes for the block. They almost got it. An end-over-end kick that will bounce at the 30, and Huffman will get the roll down to the 28-yard line. Brian, that was close.
Pee Wee Woods was a guy that broke free for Oklahoma. Almost blocked the punt of Royce Huffman. In fact, that ball may have gone between his arms as he stretched out to try to block it. Now it's out of bounds, as you mentioned, at the 28-yard line. That's where the Sooners will start. 1st and 10. We're down to 9:23 to go.
Pee Wee dove and just missed it. I mean, it was almost Pee Wee's Playhouse there, but not quite. Didn't go through his hands, but he was close, Brian.
That's weak. 34-yard punt from the 28. It's Oklahoma's football. I formation. Reese has been the quarterback for the late 3rd and all of the 4th so far. He tries the option hit. Schobel gets him and drops him after a short gain and a fumble, and Cam Hunt has it. Question is, was Reese down? Reese being dragged down, coughed the football up after his knee touched, and Cam Hunt, who came up with it, not credited for a fumble recovery, but Schobel did get credit for the tackle on that play. They did gain yardage, but not a whole lot with 9 minutes left. Sean Worthen may be a little shaken up for TCU. Brian?
Yeah, we'll try to get an update. It looks like they're looking at his left shoulder, Bill. We'll try to get an update from Ross Bailey, the head trainer, here in a second.
Now, Sean has played a lot in the first half, but has been spelled a lot by Williams and Ashley in the second. Of course, J.W. Wilson. Right now, J.W. and Williams are in the middle with Schobel and Hunt, the defensive ends. And here's a 2nd down. He dumps the ball over the middle to Jackson. He runs into Brazil and Bruce and Hunt at the 33-yard line. He gets about a 5-yard gain on that play, but they've used that slant pretty well tonight. That time Jackson caught the ball and then ran into some black shirts.
I'm off for a minute.
And it'll be 3rd down and 6, the scoreboard says, with 8:15 left to go.
Can I listen to your deal?
Yeah, he also ran into one of his own guys there, number 60 on the play, Matt O'Neill, the center, trying to get a block downfield, ran into himself and Shannon Brazil at the same time.
3rd down and 5, and Oklahoma will call a timeout with 7:57 left in the 4th.
Timeout.
They lead, TCU leads Oklahoma by a 9-0 count. We're back after this timeout.
That's followed the Horn Frogs Wednesday on KSKS
Is Community Cable Television, tuned in to Fort Worth.
Papa John's Pizza, Radio Shack, Ramada Plaza downtown, Southwestern Bell, and United American Sports. Thank you for your support of TCU Athletics.
.57 left in the 4th, 9-0 Horned Frogs lead Oklahoma. Sooners face a 3rd and 5 at their own 33-yard line, and the Horned Frog players along the sideline and on the field asked the fans to make a little noise here. And so let's see just exactly what they get. Reese is the Oklahoma quarterback after Fletcher was lifted. The Reese has made both their 3rd down conversions tonight on quarterback draws. Here's a 3rd down, 4-man line. Let's see if TCU will blitz here out of the shotgun. Reese, long count here. And O'Neill snaps it to him. He drops the ball and is tackled by Schobel. He dropped it. It bounced back up to him. He wanted to run, and Aaron Schobel, the sophomore from Columbus, makes the play, and Oklahoma will have to punt again.
Again, out of the shotgun, problems with the snap. He's trying to look upfield before he's got the ball. On any kind of a deep snap play, whether it's a field goal or you're in the shotgun or you're punting, you've got to, rule number 1, you got to catch a snap.
9-0, and the Sooners, Jeff Ferguson punts again to Royce Huffman at the 25. With the wind at his back, the Frogs made a play on the punt in the first half. Good snap here. They will try to set up a return, and a pretty good one by Ferguson. Huffman catches it along the far sideline and steps out at the 26-yard line, 45-yard punt, and a 2-yard return with 7:07 left. Now, TCU has 3 timeouts left, and Oklahoma has 2. John, I'll say it again. Even if they don't score, if they could just keep the ball and get 2 or 3 first downs on this drive, would make a huge difference in this game.
Tell you what, 3 or 4 minutes off the clock right now are almost as good as a touchdown. Not quite. We'd rather have the 6. If you can get 3 more, you're way ahead, because then you've got a 2-possession game on your hand. Right now, you've got a 2-possession game, but that'd have to be
a touchdown and
a field goal. If you get another score, it's 2 touchdowns you got to make, that Oklahoma has to make.
I formation behind Bateau from the 25, far hash mark. He hands off to Tomlinson, who squirts for 3, and literally with very little room to run that time. Kelly Gregg, who's played a dynamite game tonight, is there to make the tackle. 2nd down and 7, under 7 minutes left. And TCU again, right now just wanting a first down. They haven't had one in a while.
Well, it's been a physical battle. A lot of battling going on along the line of scrimmage on both sides. And, you know, it's late. Guys are getting tired. 2nd and 8, though, the Frogs have got to come up with a big play. They need to set themselves up here to make a first down.
Scarborough and Crawford check in, split wide left on 2nd and 7 near the 28-yard line. Bateau hands off Tomlinson to the 30 for 2.5, maybe 3 more. The quick hitter, Michael Dunlany again. And now it'll be 3rd down again. They'll still need 5 for the first down.
Boy, big 3rd and 5. And, you know, like we say, OU's running a variation of the 46. They're going to pack it in and pressure you and dare you to throw the ball or try to get wide. Frogs aren't having much success getting wide right now with the option. They're trying to pound it ahead. Maybe a quick slant to the tight end or something where quick two-step drop and zip it.
Double tight end. Mitchell in the backfield is the only setback. Receiver split left and right for Patrick Bateau. From the 30 on 3rd and 5, there's movement along the line of scrimmages. Ryan Fisher for Oklahoma was in the neutral zone. Was he drawn offsides? But the penalty flag did fly. And Oklahoma already has 13 of those tonight.
Looks like there was some confusion along the TCU offensive line. Mike Scarborough, who was split wide to the near side, he was holding out his hands trying to get some help.
Start of the snap, false start. On the offense, third down.
Brian, Robert Wallace, you think?
Yeah, it looked like the left guard, Robert Wallace, did in fact jump. You know, he left in the first half with an ice bag on his neck to go into the locker room. We still haven't gotten a report from Ross Bailey on his status. You got to wonder if that came into effect on that play, as he did in fact leave his stance early.
3rd down and 10. That makes this a much more dangerous play with 5.5 left to go. So they go back to the I formation. Tomlinson in there. The tight end is Ilian, and a receiver split left, 2 of them. Inside handoff, Tomlinson regains the line of scrimmage, and guess what? They'll punt again. It's 3rd and 10 as Cornelius Burton makes the play, and now there is a timeout on the field taken by who?
Timeout.
It'll be Oklahoma, and they'll have 1 left. 5:21 left in the ball game. TCU leading the Sooners 9-0 back after this timeout.
Your parents are always bugging you to get out of the house and get some exercise. But you've got your own way of doing things. You're your own person. You don't need to follow the crowd or the rules. And the last people you want to be like are your parents.
Johnny, tell them what they want.
It's a thin line between newborn and stillborn, full term and premature, between healthy and sick. If you're pregnant or think you are, getting prenatal care early is the most important step you can take. Don't put your baby's health on the line. Take care of yourself so you can take care of your baby. Find out now about getting prenatal care. Call 1-800-311-2229.
You got to get the punt away.
Job number 2 is defense. You got to hold them again.
9-0 Frogs lead. Huffman and his 11 to punt the ball away. Into the wind. It just died down a bit, at least at the moment. Long count, a snap. They go for the block, don't get it. End over end kick. That will bounce at the 46 and roll inside the 45-yard line, where it will be downed by Oklahoma's Corey Ivy, the defensive back. And the Sooners, after a 33-yard punt, have good field position with 5:13 to go in the football game.
It'll be interesting to see what they do. Looks like they're going back to Reese at quarterback again, although they're having some struggles with him at QB.
He's making plays when he runs with it, but hasn't been able to do much throwing or holding on to it when he's tried to pitch the ball.
Can't get a hold of it out of the shotgun formation. Now they're going back to the stack I.
They send a receiver each way, go without a tight end. Wide splits by the Horned Frog defensive lineman on 1st down. Reese to throw over the middle, and it's almost intercepted again. Intended upfield for Oklahoma's Gerald Williams. Reggie Hunt diving and almost had his 2nd interception.
Well, he made a great diving attempt there. Had it in his hands, actually. He's playing a 2-deep zone. Got to play in center field back there, and starts to come over and help out on the left side. And that ball is thrown right to him. Hits him in the hands and bounces off the shoulder pads. He nearly had another interception.
Reese is 2 for 6. Had 1 intercepted, 21 yards in passing. 2nd and 10, 5:08 left to go. From the shotgun, from his own 42-yard line, back to throw. Here comes the blitz. Dunlap chasing. Reese rolling out, throws it way over everybody's head at the 40-yard line. A TCU band member, the closest to catching that football. 3rd and 10.
A showgirl nearly ended up on the Oklahoma stat sheet there with a reception. He uncorked that one. He had a head of steam moving that way and threw it over everybody.
And with 5:03 to go, not much time running off the clock. The Frogs can hold here.
Wonder what play they'll run on 3rd down. What do you guess?
Quarterback draw, perhaps? Quarterback option keeper or something? Hell, who knows? He's in the shotgun again. He's got Parker beside him. 3 receivers split left. Frogs show blitz, and here they come, and the ball's fumbled again. And Reese falls on it back at the 34-yard line. He is John seeing those guys up at the line of scrimmage out of the corner of his eye, and he's taking his eye off the ball, just like a hitter does when he can't find his stroke. He loses 7.
Well, that looks like bad ball drill. That's what that is. Man, I'll tell you what, I wonder, now I don't know officially in the stats if that counts as a fumble. It counts as a fumble, but not, it doesn't show up in the loss column.
I don't know.
Boy, that's 4 of those that I can remember.
So the line of scrimmage is 35, 4th and 17. Fletcher at the 22-yard line. Frogs will set up a return here, and a pretty good kick out of there by Ferguson, who roots it way out of there. Huffman back at the 9-yard line will fair catch it at around the 8. So that is a 56-yard punt, no return, with 4:14 to go.
And the way that punt was climbing, and it forced Royce back inside the 10, he really, it's easy for us to sit up here, but he should have let that go. Good chance it would have bounced through the end zone. Fair catches it, though. He starts waving at the 20, and he ends up at the 8. Now the Frogs have got to be careful with the football, and still you've only moved a minute off the clock. You're now at 4:14 since OU picked the ball up. They started with it with 5:21. So.
Pretty quick ball game. 4:14 left to go in it. And TCU has it at their own 9-yard line. They mark it at the 9. I formation, hang on to the ball, guys. With under 5 minutes left, and they did. And the ball's loose, and it's picked up by Mitchell at the 1. Well, I'll shut up from now on. I won't try to encourage him to hang on to it because Mitchell just had it knocked away by an Oklahoma lineman, and they're lucky the Sooners don't have it 1st and goal. Mitchell fell on it back at the 1-yard line.
Well, I'll tell you what, you watch a lot of football games over the years, and you've seen it too, Bill, late in the game. A turnover like that turns a game on a dime, and right now the Frogs need to make a 1st down, eat up some clock. You get this ball game inside a minute, 2 minutes, and it's over.
Well, now they have it 2nd and a bunch at their own 1-yard line. And they'll try to get it out of the end zone. Tomlinson with a handoff to the 2, where he's hit by Michael Dunlany, and it looks like Huffman may have to throw out of his own, punt out of his own end zone again. TCU, according to Greg Marks, our stat man, has 3 yards this half.
I can believe it. This game has just come to a screeching halt. It's not raining that hard. But I'll tell you what, neither offense has really gotten much going here in the second half, and as evidenced by the stats that Mr. Marks is throwing at us.
Boy, I'll tell you, that's ugly. But the good news is under 3 minutes now left in the ball game. But it's 3rd down, and the Frogs need 17, and now TCU will call a timeout. 2:56 left to go. 9-0. Frogs lead the Sooners. We're back after this timeout.
Well, crunch time now. 2:56 to play in the ball game. TCU leading at 9-0. With 2:56 to go, Coach Brand calls the timeout to take a look at this one. Try to figure out what he's going to do. 3rd and 17 at this point. It would be the 2nd time on the night that Royce Huffman has had to punt the football from his own end zone. He struggled at times tonight, as you noticed, as he has to take the shoe off on 3rd down, then hustle back out there to punt it again on 4th down. So here facing 3rd and 17 in the second half, the TCU Horned Frogs only with 3 yards in total offense. Got to get something going on this 3rd down play now. Leading at 9-0 with 2:56 to play ball game. Oklahoma offensively has struggled as well. As you see, the new quarterback Reese has fumbled the ball a couple of times, giving TCU the football back in pretty good field position, but then mistakes by the Horned Frogs offense has cost them field position as well. Now 3rd and 17 for their own 2-yard line. Big play coming here. Let's go back up top. Bill Coates and John Denton.
You're looking for cellular phone service. Contact Southwest.
It is nail-biting time, John. 9-0 Frogs. 2:56 left in the game. They have it 3rd and 17 at their 2-yard line.
Boy, and they've got a long 3rd down here. They need to convert. They hadn't converted but 2 3rd downs tonight.
Offset eye, 2 receivers split right, and Bateau to throw out of his end zone. He gets a block, rolling upfield, throws it upfield and to no one. Nobody even close. That play looked pretty good when it started because Basil Mitchell threw a nice block to spring Bateau to at least get a look upfield. And that ball was so far short of the intended receiver, I'm not even sure who was intended for it.
Well, Michael Crawford was on a streak route up the far sideline, and then you had Mike Scarborough on a crossing route, but there was no way that Bateau was going to be able to get the ball to Scarborough. He threw it in the general direction of Crawford, but Crawford never even turned around to look at the football. Now you've got a big 4th down. You've got to make a play here. Punt team's got to come on and get it out of there.
And OU just took their last time out.
Yeah, I don't.
Now, why would they do that? I mean, I'm no football coach. Don't pretend to be. But Brian, why would they take a timeout here?
Not real sure because the clock had stopped because of the incomplete pass. 2:50 to play in the 4th. Now Oklahoma has no timeouts left. The clock was not going to restart because it was in fact an incomplete pass until the punt was made by Huffman. So I'm not so sure why they took that timeout.
Well, you've got Huffman backed up against the end line now. He's only 12 yards deep. OU's going to go hard after the block. They're thinking they can make a play here and then maybe get the ball back and win the game.
Okay, well, I'll buy that. His 10th punt of the night for Royce Huffman. 10th punt of the night. That is about 6 too many. So now, standing at the back of his end zone is Royce Huffman. Edmondson to snap it. He just needs to get the ball out of there. It's about the size of it here. Long count here. Edmondson snaps it, and he will get it out of there. It's not a real good kick. And the ball will bounce at the 35 and be picked up by Jackson. He goes left at the 30, and Curtis Fuller upfield at the 32-yard line after a 33-yard punt by Royce Huffman. Brian, did you get a real good look at why that thing came out of there on a low-line drive?
Yeah, I sure did. And the fact of the matter is Royce had a bad drop. The ball slipped out of his hands as he went to punt the football, so a bad drop. Rex Ryan, defensive coordinator for Oklahoma, is livid. I'm not so sure if he's livid at his players for calling the timeout or for the officials for allowing them to do so. He's still hot.
Well, it's 1st down Sooners at the 32, and the Frog defenders asked to do it one more time.
He's reset the clock to 2:44. 2:44.
Well, you hear the official. That'll give
5 more seconds. That's like a week at this point in the game.
Yeah, I don't have much for fingernails to begin with. If I did, they'd be gone because
just gave him 5 more seconds.
Man, this is going to be tight. 9-0 though the score. Sooners at the 32 following the punt. Reese to run the quarterback keeper. He'll turn to the outside. He has yardage inside the 25 to the 22, close to a 1st down. That's a quarterback draw all the way. Quarterback keeper all the way. An 11-yard gain, and that may be a 1st down. It'll stop the clock with 2:37 left.
Well, that's a big play there. He gets a 1st down, stops the clock while they move the chains. It gives Oklahoma a chance to reorganize.
And Fletcher's back in.
And now they've got Fletcher back in.
Yeah, Patrick Fletcher's the quarterback. Inside the 22 on 1st down. And Fletcher from the shotgun to throw. Here comes the blitz. He throws downfield, and it's incomplete. Intended for Ahmed Kaba, and Walls in coverage. And the fans from Oklahoma wanting pass interference because Walls never turned around to look back at it.
That's the same type play that Walls got called on earlier in the game. He doesn't get called. Just better to be lucky than good sometimes. But he's face masking Kaba again. Kaba wanted the flag. Walls points at Kaba. Kaba points at Walls. The referee says no play, and it's 2nd down with 2:26 to play.
This OU's deepest penetration of the night at the 21-yard line. Is that right? The 21-yard line, 2nd down and 10. From the shotgun, Pat Fletcher again. Here comes the blitz again. Fletcher looking toward the end zone. This time it is knocked away by Blocker. No! He made the catch. Touchdown, Oklahoma. Walls and Blocker going step for step. Walls, I think, got a hand on the ball, but Blocker took it away from him, and the Sooners are finally on the board with 2:20 to go.
Walls turned around. He had good position. He turned around, but not soon enough, and Fletcher comes in and puts it right on the money. Same play right there, and he's got good coverage, but he just can't get a hand in there to knock it away. And good play there on the touchdown by Blocker.
9-6 TCU leading. And here's Ferguson to add the extra point to make it a 2-point ball game. Long count. Sills puts it down. Fletcher, check that. Ferguson puts it up, and it's good. 2:20 left to play, and it's TCU 9, Oklahoma 7. Back in a moment on the TCU Sports Network.
2:20 to play in the ball game now. TCU leading Oklahoma 9-7, as it is in fact nail-biting time, if you will. 2:20 to go. Here's what has to happen. TCU has 2 timeouts remaining. Oklahoma, if you'll remember on the last drive,
took their final time out of the ball game on the third down incomplete pass by Patrick Bateau for TCU. That enabled them to run out of timeout. So that advantage goes to TCU at this point with 2 timeouts remaining. Oklahoma with none with 2:20 to play. The lead is 2. If you're TCU, you have to do 2 things. One, if you recover the onside kick, obviously you've got to advance the football. If they decide to kick it deep, the TCU offense has struggled here in the second half. Just 3 yards of total offense in the second half for the Horned Frogs. So they've got to be able to move the football, keep the chains moving, keep the clock running, enable them to take advantage of the fact that they've got 2 timeouts remaining. Oklahoma has none. Back up to the booth.
.220 left to go in the ball game. TCU 9, Oklahoma 7, following the 21-yard pass from Patrick Fletcher to Chris Blocker. And here comes the onside kick. Oklahoma stacks behind Ferguson, and TCU with their hands team in the game. And now Fletcher approaches the ball, stops, and he'll try the other side. Okay, everybody now lines up along the left side. And Ferguson, the kicker, will try to get it 10 yards downfield. And again, the Frogs have nothing but backs and receivers and DBs up, expecting an onside kick because Oklahoma's out of timeouts. If they can hang on and win this football game, who knows what TCU might be able to accomplish this year. But this is one of those, could be one of those turning point plays in the 1998 season as Oklahoma prepares to try what looks like an onside kick here with just over 2 minutes left in a 2-point ball game. Ferguson, the kicker, 4 yards behind the ball, now boots it. It will bounce. It will be loose. It's loose, and it's still loose, and I think Oklahoma got it. The Sooners got it at the 41. That ball was perfectly bounced, and Josh Norman makes the play, and Oklahoma is in position to win this ball game with the wind at their back and 2:16 to play.
Yeah, perfectly executed. Ferguson gets the big high hop. It goes up. It's actually batted up in the air by a TCU player. And then Josh Norman comes down with it. And now Oklahoma, they've hung around all night. Frogs haven't been able to put them away. Now Oklahoma back threatening, and like you say, a chance to win it.
At the 47-yard line. And Reese is back at quarterback, and he is hitting the backfield, but squirts free, and he is free to run, but he's knocked down at the 42-yard line. He gets about a 5-yard gain, and then Shannon Brazil and Joe Phipps come up to knock him down, and they kept him in bounds, too. Under 2 minutes now left in the ball game, and they kept him in bounds. I'll tell you something, though. Ferguson has been Oklahoma's best player tonight, and he may have a chance to kick for the win here. Fletcher is in at quarterback.
Yeah.
With with a minute 45 left to go, second down and about 5 from the shotgun. The pitch back to Fletcher. He's looking downfield over the middle. Intercepted! Joe Phipps at the 26, and then he fumbles the ball, and Oklahoma comes up with it. Oh, my goodness. Phipps intercepts for the 3rd time tonight, and then Freeman stripped the ball, I think, away from him, and Oklahoma has it back at the 23-yard line. Unbelievable.
Oh, you talk about a roller coaster of emotions. Phipps catching the ball, intercepting the pass, and then having it stripped, basically giving OU a gain of about 15 yards down to the 22.
Man, oh man.
And that's exactly what happened. Freeman took it away from him.
You got victory right there in the palm of your hand, Brian, as Phipps had that ball for about a half, enough to get credit for his 3rd interception of the night.
Yeah, the TCU coaches are saying he was down. Now, Oklahoma wisely asks and receives a new football for the final minute and 38.
At the TCU 23-yard line, Fletcher sends 2 receivers wide left, and Fletcher to spike the ball. There's penalty flags everywhere, as Aaron Schobel may have jumped the count, depending on whether or not the Sooners were offside or jumped before the snap. We'll see what the indication is here. It's against Oklahoma, illegal motion. How about that?
Boy.
And I'll tell you, at this point, every yard helps, because we're looking at a possible game-winning field goal here by Ferguson at some point with a minute 33 left and the Sooners out of timeouts.
Yep, and a first down at the 28-yard line. So
45 from here.
That'd be a 45-yarder.
and the wind has really died down, and it is a wet football.
But that play's 3 plays away. The business at hand right now is to try to stuff Oklahoma.
Damon Parker in a stack-eye backfield behind the quarterback Fletcher, who started and may finish it for Oklahoma at the 28, 1st and 15. Fletcher hands off, Parker coming this way. Parker to the outside. Parker hit and drop. Great play by Andre Bruce with help from Fuller and Shanks. They keep him in bounds, too. He gets a yard to the 27, and there'll be less than a minute to go when Oklahoma tries again here on 2nd down.
And Fletcher is still in the game. He's coming back in with a play, and he is limping. He seems to be favoring his right leg, but he's still in the game. Clock runs inside 50 seconds now.
2nd down and 14. Fletcher with him, near hash mark, stack eye. TCU spreads it out along the defensive line, and here we go, the handoff to Seth Littrell, the full, Littrell, and Littrell inside the 25, down to about the 22 with 34 seconds left, and Oklahoma out of timeouts will have to consider a 40-yard field goal very soon here. TCU has a player down. Curtis Fuller, the Horned Frog defensive back, is down, and with 26 seconds left, Fuller gets up and hops off. Now, it wouldn't make sense for a TCU player to fake an injury here. You would expect that from Oklahoma out of timeouts, that one of their players might have to try that. Clock has started, and Fletcher may have to spike this football. 18, 17, 16, 15. Ball's at the Frog 21-yard line. Look for Fletcher to either try the end zone or spike it, and he spikes the ball, and that will be, with 10 seconds left, the final play from scrimmage tonight. Ferguson will try a long field goal to possibly give Oklahoma the win.
I'm underneath.
Brian, you're underneath the goalpost. The wind has died down, hasn't it?
It really has. There's virtually no wind down here now. Let's see if TCU to take a timeout to ice Ferguson, the kicker. I don't think so. I think they're going to let him kick it.
10 seconds left. The clock is stopped. Sills, the holder. They'll mark this ball right at the 30-yard line. So call it a 40-yard field goal dead down the middle.
Timeout.
And now TCU is going to call a timeout. TCU will call a timeout, and we'll pause 15 seconds for station identification along the TCU Sports Network.
This is Community Cable Television, tuned in to Fort Worth.
TCU arguably won that game on special teams. They blocked the field goal and returned it for a touchdown at Iowa State. Can they pull it off one more time tonight?
Well, the stage is certainly set. They've already pulled off one big play here in this last series, but Joe Phipps' interception, he had it stripped by Freeman, the tight end, and that's what gives OU life now. TCU with one more timeout. I wouldn't be surprised if they called another one.
Sills to hold. Fletcher at a 31-yarder last week to try a 40-yard field goal with 10 seconds left. And TCU's Joe Phipps is signaling timeout again, and they'll do it again. Well, Brian, trying to do a little ice job here on the quarterback, on the kicker for Oklahoma.
You know, I don't know if it's working for him, but it's working for me down here.
Yeah, man.
Extra ice. And I'll tell you, the longer you sit out there and you think about it, the worse it gets. So why not burn the 2 timeouts? And that's what the Frogs have done.
I'm glad they don't have a blood pressure monitor on me right now, but and I can only imagine what. Of course, Dennis Franchione has been through this a lot, so he may be the coolest and calmest guy on the field. I don't know, but well, it's been a fun football game because it's been close, but it's been a frustrating game for TCU in the fact that here they are, having led most of the way 9-0, and now they have a chance to lose this game, and now they're going to have to put up or shut up. Here we go. 10 seconds left. Sills to hold for Ferguson for the possible win, a 40-yard field goal straight down the middle. The Horned Frogs trying to go 2-0. A 40-yard field goal for the Sooners. It's 9-7 TCU. Snap and hold are good. The kick is on the way. It's a line drive that is good, and Oklahoma has taken a 10-9 lead with 5 seconds left.
Big kick there. And again, OU hung in the entire game. In the last 5 minutes here, and scored a touchdown and a field goal. And there's all kinds of celebration going on down here. And coaches on the TCU sideline looking for a flag for excessive celebration. So we'll see what happens on the kickoff. But 5 seconds left. That's a tough way to go down, Bill.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, their defensive unit played a whale of a game tonight. Had a pretty good first half offensively, just never could score a touchdown, and it'll come back to bite you. And I'll tell you what, Ferguson, in my mind, he's been the best player on the field for Oklahoma. He's punted it well tonight. He just hit that 40-yard field goal. The guy did the perfect onside kick to put him in position to win this football game. And, the Sooners haven't asked me, but their MVP is the kicker, Ferguson.
Yeah, he's kept them in it, like you say, punting the ball, good field position. And, boy, that onside kick was picture perfect. If he's not their player of the game, I don't know who would be.
No, there is no question about it. He has been the man. And he is a redshirt freshman from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And he is breaking TCU's heart right now here in the second game of the season.
And he's made some good kicks under pressure. That one, the biggest of his young career.
And he will, I'm sure, not kick it deep. He'll dribble this ball along the ground, I would think. He approaches it again and decoys and then stops, and he'll go back and kick it again. Man, that's a tough way to lose a football game. But again, give Oklahoma credit for hanging in. They tried everything but the kitchen sink tonight, and it's a line drive kick that will be picked up with 5 seconds left. Reggie Hunt upfield to the 15, to the 20, and he's hit down at the 21-yard line, and that's the ball game, and the Sooners have won. Roy Williams made the tackle, and Oklahoma will celebrate a victory here in Fort Worth tonight. Oh, what a disappointing home opening loss for TCU. Led 9-0 until 2 minutes and 20 seconds were left in the game. Chris Blocker caught that touchdown pass, and then the onside kick for Oklahoma, perfect. I've never seen a better one, John, than the onside double bounce that Freeman launched. And now we get a fight. Brian, you want to referee the fight down there, bud?
I'm staying out of this one.
John Blake is in the middle of it, trying to call his players off. And I know TC is frustrated, but this is not the time nor the place for something like this, and the coaches are trying to get this thing broken up. I know it's heartbreaking, but hey guys, it's over, and there's still 9 games left in the season.
Well, a lot of emotion there, especially at the end of the game, Bill, and a tough way to lose a football game for TCU. And a lot of talking going on down on the field on both sides. And best thing to do is split them up, head to the house, and recount what goes on. A lot of OU fans on the field right now, and again, about as tough of a defensive football game as we've seen in a long, long time.
You know what, though? Even in a losing effort, it's real nice to see some emotion in this place.
Oh,
we
yeah.
didn't see much last year, good or bad, did we?
I guarantee you, Coach Fran and the new staff have put some new life into the team, and there's definitely some emotion and some feel here.